Hello, what is up? Good evening and happy Thursday. First of the month. It is May 1st, and it just so happens to fall on a Thursday. So that worked out perfect for Achievement Chases. We usually try to do it the first Thursday of the month. Although a lot of times we end up doing it like a week or two late, and it's sometimes like halfway through the month. So it's awesome to get it done right on the dot. Because normally I'm used to talking to stuff that I played like a week ago, and now I can talk about stuff that I was literally playing yesterday. But what's up?
I've always just made it so it's in between the nights, not just what was that month.
Yeah, you do it basically whatever you played between episodes. I usually try to keep it to only what I played in the month that we're talking about. But how's it going, dude?
Makes
How
it
you
easier.
doing tonight? It does.
But I'm doing pretty good. Just did some more the daily Warframe stuff before I hopped in here and was talking to Seth the Dragon.
Good stuff. I will be starting that. I was planning. I mean, I know I was talking to you asking about like the multi-platform cross-save stuff. I was thinking I was going to do it before I start my dive, but I don't think I'm probably not going to actually start playing it until I start my dive, but I'm getting really close just because I'm on a bit of a time crunch because I want to get that done and dive all my new games before I leave on my vacation next month. And I'm about 180 achievements left. If it's just those, I should be able to get through that. I was probably by the end of May if I really focus on it. But if I have to panic play anything before it leaves Game Pass, that's gonna push it back a little bit. So I was like, I want to start Warframe on another platform, but I don't think I'm gonna have time. So
you can always do it on vacation because you can always just play it on a laptop.
It is available on iOS, so I could play it on my iPad. I tried to install it on my Switch, and the internal hard drive on the Switch is not big enough to hold Warframe, and I don't have any expanded storage. I bought a micro SD card, but I don't think the card reader in my Switch works because I tried 2 or 3 different ones, and it never detected my micro SD card. So I was like, well, I got to install it on the internal, and I literally deleted everything off the hard drive, and I still couldn't install Warframe. So I was like,
yeah, that internal for the Switch is really small.
Yeah, it's 32, but with all the like operating system overhead, it's like 28, and I think Warframe is like 29 gigs or so. It's like just barely too big to fit on the internal hard drive. But yeah, there are other.
Let me see how big it is on Xbox.
There are other platforms it's available on.
It's 52 on Xbox, which is not that big considering how much content is on that game.
Yeah, for sure. I expected it to be bigger. But the question
it's not an Unreal Engine, so
that's a good point. The thing is, however,
it's a proprietary engine.
I'm going to be overseas, and I don't know how much access I'm going to have to the internet. So
true.
I'm in order to keep my achievement streak alive while I'm gone. I'm hoping that I'll be able to keep it alive with things that I can do on my phone or on my iPad, because there are some games available on iOS that have Xbox achievements, like Sudoku that I've been talking about, and the other one I actually didn't have it written down, but
yeah, it really sucked to have your combo your streak ended.
Yeah,
isn't it pretty long?
It is currently 1,379 days, my longest streak ever. Not my most achievements in a streak. My previous streak, which was 1,100 days,
that's about 4 years,
was 9,000 achievements.
Right, somewhere between 3 and 4 years.
Yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and do the math on this. So my previous one was 1,106 days divided by 365. That's 3 years, 0.03. So it was literally just over 3 years. 1,379 days divided by 365 is 3.77 years. So I started that one in July. So it's coming up on 4 years. Those two should have been one long one, but there was just one day where I wasn't able to, and I was very upset because I was at home and I was playing that day, and I was just playing the game, and it was being super stingy on the achievements, and I didn't get any achievements. I was super pissed. But anyways, yeah, so like I was doing Sudoku. I finished that. I got all the achievements. So what I'm working on right now on my phone game that I'm playing a little bit here and there every day is Wordament, which is in the same series of games. But they've got a couple others like Solitaire and Mojang, like that Chinese domino game. Those both have Xbox achievements. So I'm thinking I should be able to keep my streak live with something like that. If I do have access to the internet, I also have my Switch, which has the Minecraft version of Switch has Xbox achievements, as does the Switch version of Ori and the Blind Forest. So I can use those to get achievements. And yeah, I'm gonna have it all planned out, but I should be okay as long as I have some form of internet access. But anyways, with that,
You should have internet access wherever you're going.
I'm going with my mom and my stepdad, and I asked them last week. I'm like, hey, am I gonna have internet on my phone at least? And they're like, yes, you should. I'm like, okay. So that's the main reason why.
Which country is he going to?
I'm going on a Mediterranean cruise, so I'll be in Italy and Greece and in that area. So it's gonna be awesome. If I do have to break my streak, at least it's for a darn good reason.
Fun thing, you know that dish detergent, it's called Ajax.
Sorry. Oh, dish detergent Ajax? Yes.
Yes.
What about that?
You know why it's called Ajax, right?
I have no idea.
It's because it's a destroyer of Greece.
Wait.
Ajax was a Trojan warrior.
Okay, I was like, I'm assuming that's some sort of historical joke. I'm sure Carl would have gotten it, but I didn't know.
I'm pretty sure Ryan would have gotten it too.
Ryan, yeah, Ryan probably would have gotten it as well, since they're both big history buffs. Yeah, I did not know that one.
I think Ajax was a playable character in the Trojan Warriors game.
Oh, the Dynasty Warriors type game?
Yeah.
You mentioned this. Okay. The only thing Ajax I know in video games is Mortal Kombat. Even though I don't really know Mortal Kombat, I know Ajax is a character in Mortal Kombat. I think
you could play as Ajax. You could play as. There was only like 8 characters. Of course, you had Achilles, Ajax.
Achilles. I know that name. Achilles, that is.
Odysseus, Patroclus, Aeneas, Hector, Paris, and Penthesilea.
I know a few of those names from the movie Troy. I like that. That's a good movie.
But what the game actually brings in some of the gods coming in.
It's got some of the Greek mythology in it as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think in one of the fights you actually fight. There's a boss fight at the end of the stage where you fight a statue that gets brought to life.
Okay. So it's not entirely in the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Assassin's Creed Odyssey took some liberties with the Greek mythology as well. Probably not as much, but
and the God of War games.
Well, God of War, yeah, that's like all about the Greek mythology. But like Assassin's Creed, those games take place in basically the actual historical past. But in Odyssey, there are things like griffins and stuff. There's like mythological creatures, so they took a little bit of liberties. But anyways. So, before we went live, we're talking, just briefly going over kind of what we got to talk about. Sounded like you didn't have a whole lot to talk about. I'm
still stuck on the same 2 games.
I, as usual, have quite a bit to talk about, so I'll kind of kick it off here. I'm going to start out with the retro achievement stuff and then move to Xbox. Not a whole lot to talk about on the retro achievement front, other than I finished up the game I was playing last episode we were doing this. And I got the mastery in it, and it is my 4th retro achievement mastery, and that was Bionic Commando Elite Forces. So I just re-listened to that. Was it that up? No. I just re-listened to one of my streams. I think it was on Party Chat, like we did like right after, because I did talk about Bionic Commando and how I was almost done with it. I think I was thinking that I was listening to the last episode's Achievement Chase. But anyways, around that time, I think I had just beaten it with the male commando, and I had to go through it as the female commando. So I went through it as the female commando because there are achievements for each. And I went through it, and the only thing that was difficult was there was a couple of achievements for finding certain hidden items in certain levels, and some of them were really well hidden. I had to go, and you can find plenty of videos on YouTube from this game. There was literally zero guide videos on the internet of where these items are, because these items, you wouldn't really think anything of them unless you're playing for achievements, because these items have achievements tied to them.
That's part of the fun of achievements.
So I had to figure it all out myself. I did go online and find, it was difficult to find because, like I said, this is a pretty niche game. But I did find someone who made, because it's a Game Boy Color game, so you don't really see a whole lot, and there's no map. So someone actually made online, they made maps of all the levels. And so I looked through them, and I was like, maybe that's where it is. So I had a little bit of help in that. I was like, I don't know if I've been to this area, so let me go to that area and look. Oh, nope, nothing there. All right, maybe there's something over here in this area. This looks like a good spot for hiding an item. Nope, nothing there. So I did eventually find the 4 or 5 items that had achievements tied to them. So that was really the only thing difficult about it. Not a difficult game, but it is good. It's fun. And like I said, the music on this game for a Game Boy Color game is really great. So I got the completion in that, and got my 4th Retro Achievement Mastery. 3 of them are GameCube games, and now I have a Game Boy Color game.
Your first non-GameCube one.
Yes. So, let's see here. You know what? I've got it pulled up over here. Let me see. Where's my mouse? I finished that one on April 7th. So that was pretty early in the month. So I didn't touch Retro Achievements again until, not until, but I started a couple games and I've done a little bit. So, I started Mega Man because Mega Man Extreme, I talked about on last one, where I didn't master it, but I got 42 out of 44 achievements. I only have 2 left in that one. I'll probably go back to it eventually because those are pretty tricky. But I started Mega Man Extreme 2, and there's a campaign for X and there's a campaign for 0. And it's both broken up into kind of like Mega Man Extreme, where you have to, because normally on Mega Man games, you have 8 bosses and you can go to any one in any order. In Mega Man Extreme, you had 4, and then you fought Sigma, and then you went into New Game Plus, and then fought a different 4, and then fought Sigma, and then you got New Game Plus Plus, and then unlocked all 8 of them at once. This has got a kind of a similar thing. Where the 8 bosses that you would fight are broken up into Section 1 and Section 2, both for X and 0. So all I've done so far is I've beaten the first 4 bosses for X. I haven't even gotten to Sigma yet. So I'm basically a quarter of the way through the game, and the achievements are pretty close to that. I've got 15 out of the 44. So I've got a third of the achievements. I don't know if, like Mega Man Extreme, I haven't looked at the achievements in a few weeks, but I don't know if I'll be mastering it, but I do plan to at least beat it with X and 0, which should give me probably about 75-80% of the achievements, be my guess. And then the other thing I started because of Carl and Canadian and I's challenge, you get bonus points for playing multiple games in a franchise. I was going to do Super Mario World, and then due to you reminding me that Yoshi's Island even existed, because I completely forgot that game existed. Because I was thinking Super Mario World, Mario 64, Mario Sunshine was what I was going to do. And then you're like, you forgot Yoshi's Island. I'm like, I did forget Yoshi's Island. So that was going to be Super Mario World, Yoshi's Island, Mario 64, then Mario Sunshine, because that's the game that Canadian challenged me to. But I was like, you know what? I haven't played the original Mario's Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3 since I was a kid. So I'll go ahead and start with those. So I'll get extra bonus points. So I started Super Mario Brothers 1, but the Super Nintendo version, that's part of.
Here's the thing, though. Did you ask them to make sure that actually counts as just one?
Oh, as one franchise?
No, because it's All-Stars. It's a package.
Well, it's basically counts as a remaster. So that still counts. You just get bonus points if you play it on the original platform. So I'm playing the Super Nintendo version, so I won't get bonus points for playing the NES version. But even though it's because it's still Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3, just with a better coat of paint, there's nothing changed about it. So it still counts.
There is a decent amount changed in the mechanics.
Is there? Okay, I did not.
Especially the first game, because of the way the way Mario bounces off blocks when he breaks them, it's much different in the original than it is in the All Stars.
Oh, I haven't played the NES version, so I don't know. But I've started Super Mario All Stars. Just started with Mario 1.
Let me look it up.
I have 5 achievements so far out of the 106, but Super Mario All Stars has Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3, and the Lost Levels. So I plan to at least beat all 4 of those. But so far, I've only beaten the first world, and I'm still in the middle of World 2. I haven't even beaten World 3 yet, or beaten 2 to get to World 3 yet. So go ahead as soon as you have that. I want to go into a little bit of depth on something tangentially related, but I don't want to get into that until you found what you are looking for.
Oh, I found it. In the original NES, you bounce off directly from the breaks when you break them, but when in the All Star versions, you keep going a little bit higher.
Oh,
so you go through the brick.
Gotcha.
But in the original release, you just kind of bounced right off.
Okay.
So for people who really got into playing both of them, like the actual mechanics and stuff, they're like, yeah, this feels way different.
Okay, that makes sense. It's essentially the same game, though. Just so I would say that it counts. What wouldn't count would be something that's like drastically different, like Final Fantasy VII original versus remake. Those are 2 drastically different games, so those would not count as being in the same. But like something like this, it's very, very, very close. So I would say it counts. I'm pretty sure Carl would agree. Carl's in chat saying 5 achievements out of 106. Weak, Neo. I only started like 2 days ago. And my focus right now is on Xbox. So, but I will be making my way through. I do plan to do Lost Levels as well. We'll see if I actually beat that. But I'm going to at least beat Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3 and All Stars, and then move on to Super Mario Brothers, then Yoshi's Island, then Mario 64, then Sunshine. So, but the reason why I started that is because I finally got this bad boy. This is the Retro Pocket Flip 2 Retroid. And this thing is freaking awesome. I love this thing. So you've got their launcher is phenomenal, and you can pick what emulator runs in the background for each one of these. So I've got, which way is it? Basically like listed by consoles. So N64, GameCube, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, DS. So I've got like all my different consoles, and then I can go into it and then see all the different games that I have in that console. And so for all of I've got RetroArch running as the emulator for most of these platforms because that's where the retro achievements are. However, unfortunately for GameCube, is the Dolphin that they have on Android isn't supported by retro achievements, so I can play the game.
You know something funny?
Achievements on them.
Apparently, Dolphin that works on the Xbox Series X now supports achievements.
That's what I wrote down to talk to you about later. So we'll get to that. But yeah, so I can play my GameCube games. I just can't get retro achievements because the Dolphin version of Android doesn't support retro achievements yet. But I saw a post on the RetroArch or Retro Achievements subreddit yesterday that progress is being made on the Android version of Dolphin. So I will probably at some point be able to play my GameCube games on here and still get retro achievements.
That's partly one of the problems with working with the original devs is that because it's a work in progress and it's probably not their full attention to add it. It's going to take some time to add it to certain builds.
Yeah, so they're working on it. When it'll be here, I don't know, but it sounds like I will be at some point. And it's Dolphin, so I'll be able to play, at least for what's physically capable of playing without motion controls. It's Dolphin, so you can play Wii games on here as well. I've seen people running PS3, Xbox 360, Switch emulators on here. So I'm going to try and figure that out as well so I can play some of those games. I haven't gotten that far yet. I was getting to my older retro games. But yeah, this thing is awesome.
What's funny for me, Android. my handheld of choice for RetroArch is literally a Vita.
Yeah, I was considering getting a Vita because of how much I was gonna, because my original plan was RetroArch is available on Switch. I'll just put it on my Switch, but then you're like, you could get hardware console banned. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'll get, once the Super Switch comes out, then I'll hack my Switch. But I was like, I don't know when I'm ever going to get a Switch 2. So I was like, maybe I'll get a Vita, but those are older. I don't know if they're, how reliable they would still be. And then
mine still works pretty well, but I haven't used it much. But there's not many moving parts other than the buttons for the Vita. So because of that, it's going to usually be in good shape as long as you don't throw it across the room.
Yeah, the like physical shape of it, I'm not worried about. My thing is, given that they're a bit older, is how long is the battery going to hold up and be able to hold a decent charge. So I was thinking about it, and then I stumbled across this a couple months ago. I mentioned it. They literally, it was basically pre-orders until they were done and ready, and they shipped and got it a couple weeks ago. And I freaking love this thing. It's phenomenal. The screen is amazing. You've got 2 triggers, you got 2 shoulder buttons, you got 2 joysticks, you got your buttons here. Although it's got the Nintendo layout where A, B, X, and Y. You can switch that, but you have to take it apart to do it. I'll probably do that at some point, but at least for now,
if you're gonna be playing mostly Super Nintendo games, it doesn't make any sense to do that, though.
True, but I just like that layout better. However, you can program in the software what way you want the buttons to be. Yeah. So I've just done it at a software level. The buttons are flipped, but the actual button on here are still the Nintendo layout. But you got your D-pad and your buttons, and there's a setting in here. You go and change what color you want your joysticks to be. You don't have to. This is the Retroid launcher. Mm-hmm. You can use any other one you want, but I really like how clean and neat it is. So this thing has been awesome. I've been playing it a little bit, and this is what I've been playing Mario Bros on. That's basically why I started it, because I'm like, because I still have been neglecting Donkey Kong Country. I haven't played it since February, but that's because I've been playing that on my PC. There's no like cross save or anything, so I want to try to figure out a way to do that so I can have my saves.
There should be a way to connect that to your PC and be able to at least manually do it.
Yes, manually you can do it. I haven't done it yet, but I know it's possible. I don't want to do that. I want to set up some sort of automatic cloud syncing so they just stay up to date automatically. I'm pretty sure it's possible. I just don't know how yet, because I've been looking through a lot of forums and stuff, and people say, oh, just do this. And then I go to a link and they're like, oh, this software is no longer supported. Well, it's like, well, that's great. So, but anyways,
I need to figure out how to do that for my actual NES that I have upstairs. Because I actually have an actual server that I can actually do that with easily.
Yeah, I have one as well, and I got like 99% of the way there. And then because RetroArch actually has a cloud sync feature built in that uses WebDAV or WebDAV, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but WebDAV, which I hadn't heard about until I was researching this. I got it all set up on my NAS, and then I found out that at least the Android version of RetroArch doesn't support the cloud sync feature, only on the PC version. I'm like, well, there goes that idea. A lot of people that are, because this is a common thing for people who do retro achievements and stuff, is keeping their saves on multiple devices. They're like, the Steam cloud save works great, but I'm only using the Steam version of RetroArch on my PC. I'm not using the Steam version of RetroArch on anything else. If I had a Steam Deck, then it would be perfect. But I'm not using a Steam Deck. I'm using Android. So I got to figure out some sort of solution. And I haven't found one yet.
Welcome to the world of Linux.
So speaking of Linux, I saw someone mention that you can run Linux on this thing. And if you run Linux, you can run the Dolphin emulator and get GameCube achievements. So I may figure out how to dual boot into Linux so I can play Dolphin on here and get the GameCube achievements. But I don't know. You
can also get Steam working on that way.
That's true. I do have the Steam app on here, but I can't actually play Steam games. But I can use the Steam Remote Play, so I can have my PC's doing it and streaming it to here, which I also have the Xbox app on here, and I can do the same thing. I can cloud stream my Xbox games, or I can remote play my Xbox onto here as well, which is awesome. So it's like this itself is like perfect. Everything I ever wanted. It's some of the software that I want is in the lacking department, but the hardware and everything built into here, phenomenal. I love this thing. It is amazing, and I can't wait to play more. It's just, with the Donkey Kong thing, if I could easily transfer my saves. I'd probably be continuing Donkey Kong Country on here, but I have to do that here on my PC until I figure that out. I am going to be...
You could just try and figure out how to do it manually before you go on vacation.
If I haven't figured out the cloud sync thing by then, I will absolutely do that. If I haven't beaten Donkey Kong Country by then. But yeah, so the Retroid Pocket Flip 2 is phenomenal, and I love this thing, and it's amazing, and I can't wait. I've got so many Retro Achievement games I'm so looking forward to playing on here. And because of that, the first Retro Achievement game I ever played was Mega Man X, and now that I've got this, I basically already played X 1, 2, and 3, and I played multiple versions of them, but I knew these existed, but I didn't know how to do them. And there are a bunch of Mega Man X 1, 2, and 3 hacks that have retro achievements. The first one being that, I knew Mega Man X3 Zero Project existed, but I didn't know until you told me that has a retro achievement set. So when I went on to Retro Achievements and found it, and I've now played it, and it's phenomenal, I also found a bunch of other Mega Man X hacks that have achievement sets. So just yesterday, I figured out how to do all of them, and I got them all up and running. So I have about 6 versions of Mega Man X on here, being the original Mega Man X, and then like 5 hack versions. There's Mega Man Generations, Mega Man Zero, and it's Mega Man X, but you play as Zero, not the Mega Man Zero games. There's the Mega Man Proto Man, Mega Man, and then I've got like 4 versions of Mega Man X2, and I've got like 3 versions of Mega Man X3. So I've got a lot of versions of Mega Man X1, 2, and 3 to play, plus a crap load of other stuff I'm looking forward to playing as
I've
well.
got enough games to play. The hacks just would make it too crazy.
And then the other thing is that I also, because mentioning Mario Sunshine being the game that Canadian challenged me to, is I knew that there was a hack. Not a hack in the sense where it has a separate achievement list, but a hack in the sense that like a performance hack where it runs better, because apparently it, like, the default version of Mario Sunshine only runs at like 25 frames per second.
I didn't notice any issues.
That's what I've heard. I've never played it yet, so I don't know, but that's what I've heard. And then on Retro Achievements, it says there is a performance patch to make it run in 30, but there's also a performance patch that makes it run in 60. So I've known that for a couple months, but I didn't know like how to apply the performance upgrade patch, just like I didn't know how to apply the patches for the hacks for Mega Man. So while I was at it yesterday, figuring out all those hacks, got all those figured out, and then I was like, all right, while I'm at it, let me go ahead and figure out how to get this quality of life 60 FPS patch working. Took me like an hour and a half to figure it out, because all these people in the forum were talking about, I followed the guide. I'm like, what guide? There's no guide. You didn't link a guide. So after forever, I finally found a YouTube video of someone walking through it, like, this is what you do. And the reason why was because I was using this program called Flips, which is like a conjugation of 2 different technical terms. But that's what works for all those Mega Man X hack games. However, for Mario Sunshine, it used a different program called like Lunar IPS. Or no, it was X Delta. That's what it was. And so as soon as I switched over to using X Delta, then it worked like that, no problem. I got it running, and I now have Mario Sunshine running at 60 FPS. So once I get around to playing Mario Sunshine, I'll be able to play it in a nice 60 frames.
Makes sense that you have a different program for different consoles.
Yeah. So Amon-Ra hopped in saying, Moo, what's up, Amon-Ra? Moo to you too. Good to see you as always. And Nightmare's here. What's up, Nightmare? How's it going? So that about covers the extent of my retro achievement stuff I want to talk about this month. I'm just so excited about playing a crap load of retro games. I just don't know when I'm going to get to all of them, when I have all my Xbox games and all my Steam games to play as well.
There's too many games.
Too many games. Good problem to have. So, I'll get into.
It's a good problem to have
stuff.
now that all the new games are going to be upping their price.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, so just today or yesterday, Xbox is like jacking up the prices on all their hardware, which is nuts.
Software. I've even heard that the Game Pass is going to be upping price too.
I've heard like officially that I've seen the chart of the new prices for the hardware. I have heard people say that the software is going up in price, but I haven't seen anything official. Same with Game Pass. It's likely that they will, but I haven't heard anything official that they are jacking the Game Pass prices up. So Nightmare saying, I remember all those patches back in the day. Okay, I probably should have come to Nightmare. He probably would have been able to walk you through it like that. But I figured it all out myself. With the help of YouTube. But
kind of like me having to figure out the death counter incrementer from, even though you sent me a video, it's like, wait, this only works on Windows.
Yeah.
.exe file that you have to install. It's like, if it was .exe file that I could actually just run, I probably wouldn't be able to figure it out from there. But I had to find something else, and I found something actually more. Actually, I think it's cleaner.
Okay.
Because it actually runs in OBS.
Oh, okay, that's nice. Because the
it's
one
a Lua script.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but
Lua is literally is some type of computer language. I can't remember the exact, but it's very simple type of computer language, and let's just say because of their Lua scripts, you can actually just open it up in a text editor and see the exact code that's running.
Okay, that's basically how the one that I use works. Because I sent you that link, and then you're like, "This doesn't work in Linux." I'm like, "Oh, that's right. I totally forgot you're on Linux." But I had to follow the guide because you have to create a text file, and then you have to program it to edit the text file, and then the OBS reads the text file. So it's like a 3-step process.
Well, you couldn't see the source code though.
True.
For that program.
But that's how the one that I had worked. So.
Pretty much what this script does is it just adds two hotkeys into OBS itself.
Okay. Yeah, mine wasn't in OBS. Mine was,
and you can tie it to a
specific
text image, and if you want, you can even tie a media source to incrementing and decrementing. So whenever you die, you could have like it scream.
Play. Yeah, that's funny. So
I mean,
all right.
With the game I've been playing, you'll see it quite often.
Yeah. So, well, that's it for my retro achievements. Everything else I'll talk about is all Xbox related, but I'll go ahead and yield you the floor for a little bit.
I might as well talk about the game I'm still stuck on retro achievements because it's just taking forever, and it's still Dynasty Warriors 5. Still working on it, but I am close to finishing this disc. Of course, there's another disc. I'm almost to the point where I can actually switch discs.
And would you say that switching disc is about halfway, or is it not?
I think I
asked you this before. I think you said there's actually less on the second disc. Or
I think there's overall less because there's like 3 modes in the second disc, and one of the modes is just a continuation of what's on this disc, pretty much. But the other 2 modes are entirely new, where you start fresh. So it's for those 2, you really don't do anything. Nothing you did in the original discs helps you with that.
Oh, gotcha.
Other than the getting used to the mechanics.
Well,
because one of them's a roguelike mode where
I remember you mentioning that.
And the other one is a create a character mode where you're supposed to rise up in the ranks of an army.
Okay.
So
okay, it looks like you're making decent progress. I got it pulled up here. You're at 206 achievements out of 341, so you're at 60%.
Yep, and whenever I looked last, I think I only have 6 more characters to go through chaos mode.
I was looking back. Looks like your first achievement was in December 2023, but you basically started it and then didn't touch it, and you really picked it up back in January of this year. So
yeah, so it's been pretty much this year entirely.
Yeah. Oh, what did I say? January 19th.
19th.
So yeah, basically been working on it all year so far.
Yep. I've only got like 6 more characters to go. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, 6. And I see 2 of them might give me some trouble because one of them has always kind of been the worst character in the game because just his moveset does not really work that well.
Who is that?
Zheng Jiao, and he is the catalyst for starting this entire situation in history.
Oh, okay.
Because he during the fall of the Han, pretty much, which was the previous dynasty, he's the Imperial Court was like not caring about any of the people out in the rest of the world. They just cared about what was happening in the Imperial Court, and so they were kind of like being fat and happy while the people were starving.
Let them eat.
So pretty much he pretty much started a rebellion using a religion he created, and it actually caused all of the people who would eventually become the major kingdoms to rise up against to become pretty strong in the militaries.
And this is like real life history stuff, right?
Yes, real life history. So pretty much they came in to quell the rebellion. Liu Bei, who started the Shu Han, he was actually part of the volunteer forces because he was a lowborn, but somehow he was put in the officers' ranks of the him and his two sworn brothers were put in the officer ranks of the volunteer, and they actually were considered. They actually did pretty well apparently because they were even asked to be brought back to the next conflict that happened.
I think I remember you mentioning them last episode.
Yeah,
that sounds familiar.
So, because of that, but it's all because of Zhang Jiao and his rebellion that caused it all to start fully crumbling. I mean, it was going to eventually happen anyways, but he just was like the catalyst of like, it's happening now.
Okay. So let's see here. The last one you got here, complete Lubu Musoi mode campaign.
Muso is pretty much story mode.
Okay. So
I've already completed their story modes on easy. It's just that whenever I play a Dynasty Warriors game, I always play on easy so I level up their characters. Right. And I just go straight to hard.
Okay. So you're basically going through both easy and hard with each character before you move on.
Well, I've already done easy mode because I've already leveled them up to get their best weapons.
Oh, so you went through like easy mode on all the characters, then go through all the hard mode on all the characters.
No, because to get their best weapon, you just had to play a specific map and do specific things. Like based on what they've done in history, usually. So you pretty much just did a specific thing in a specific mission on hard, and you then you have the item drop in a box on the map, and then you go pick it up, and then when you beat the level, you have the best weapon. That's about the same way that the Dynasty Warriors 3 did it as well.
I'm just trying to understand how that correlates to the easy and hard difficulties.
Well, you can only unlock their best weapons on hard or higher.
Oh, gotcha.
But what I do is I level up their stats on easy because it's just easier to grind it out that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah,
but I've always done Dynasty Warriors games that way.
That makes sense. So yeah, Nightmare. Same with me. He says I know so little about Asian history.
Well,
same here.
Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors are actually really good starting points. I would say Dynasty Warriors 8 is the best representation of Romance of Three Kingdoms, at least when it comes to like action-oriented games. And it has a lot of characters. Just realize that some of the stuff they do is based on the Romance of Three Kingdoms, not just history. So there's some added characters and some added stuff. But and I think the Samurai Warriors games does the same thing, but I think 4 is the best one for that. Okay. I mean, like most of the women that fight didn't actually really fight in history.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, about how much progress, I'm just glancing through, and it looks like you got a good chunk of achievements in April. About how much progress would you say you made in it last month?
Last month, well, I did finish all of Wu, which is until this game had the most characters. Because in 3, what's weird is that they try to keep them at around the same amount of characters per main faction. But in 3, whenever they added a character for Wu, they also added her twin sister. And so because of that, Wu for 2 games had like an extra character.
Oh,
based on against the other two factions. So in this game, whenever they added actually, I think they had they actually added 6 characters. One of them is put in other, 2 is in Shu, 2 is in Wei, and then they put 1 in Wu.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah. Part of the reason why each Dynasty Warriors game is people like is because it's like who they add next, who are they adding next. That's part of the reason why 6 was one of the reasons why 6 was not liked as well, because they actually removed characters.
Oh, okay. It's like,
and they also simplified the combat even more, and they made a lot of the characters repeat movesets.
Oh, bummer.
I think the best thing about Dynasty Warriors 6 was the engine, though, because they used that engine throughout. I think they still overall use that engine, because that was when they started allowing you to climb up ladders and swim in rivers. So that makes a lot of difference for the map design.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, the whole who they added next definitely makes you think of like when Smash Ultimate was still releasing characters.
Yeah, they actually do. I think in Japan they actually have polls for people asking for characters to be added.
Okay. So yeah,
And it's just that it sucks that Dynasty Warriors 9 was the last major game. I think I don't consider Origins this in the main series because you only really play as one character.
oh, okay.
So I really hope it's not how they continue on.
Oh,
because
how they kind of like how Breath of the Wild was a huge shift from the Zelda formula. Origins is a big shift from the Dynasty Warriors formula. So you're hoping they don't continue that.
I hope
direction.
they just keep it as a spinoff and they can still continue making that spinoff. I would like them to continue making Dynasty Warriors 10.
Yeah. So you can
still make it 9.
Have both. So that's kind of what I've and a lot of people said about like Zelda. It's like, go ahead, have your Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdoms, keep that as like a separate line, but you should also have your other line of Zelda games that play like, all the Zelda games before Breath of the Wild.
Yep.
So totally
but
get you there.
What's funny about the Dynasty Warriors game that I'm playing right now, 5, I'm using a guide on GameFAQs on the Chaos mode, and he has every officer tiered. What's funny is that one of the characters I had was like a lower tier, and I ended up beating all 8 of his missions because he was one of the few characters that have 8 missions for story mode.
Okay.
I ended up beating him every single time the first try.
And then this is a crappy character, and it's like, well, he wasn't crappy for me.
Yep. And then the next character I used, which was higher tier,
he had trouble.
I had so many troubles from stage 3.
That's kind of funny.
What's funny is that they are very similar. They have very similar movesets because it's actually father and son.
Oh, okay.
So, and it's weird because this archetype in the PS2 games actually has like at least one character per faction. So like, and it's usually the rulers that are like this archetype. It's like kind of like how Ryu is an archetype in Street Fighter.
Okay. Yeah. Like him and Ken are
and then
similar.
You have Ken, Dan, Sakura as part
of characters.
Other characters of Street Fighter, but and also Akuma. But they did the same thing with these characters in the PS2 Dynasty Warriors games. And
kind of like the Echo Fighters in Smash Bros.
Yeah. But it's more like they feel the same and they have the same type of weapon, which is a sword, which is a single straight sword. But they do, once you start actually playing as them, you do really start seeing the differences. But there's like six of these characters in the roster.
Oh,
and there's of course there's
a bit repetitive with the gameplay.
It can get repetitive, but it's just kind of weird how the father and son duo. The son's supposed to be better at cornering his tier list, yet I had so much trouble with him.
That's funny.
And what's funny is he even had the same stages as his father because his father has the 8 stages.
Okay.
He tends to have it's because they tend to have the rulers try to play all the major battles for his faction, even if he didn't survive for those battles.
Oh, gotcha. So yeah, looking at your list here, each row has 15 achievements in it, and there's like 4.5 rows that you filled out in April. So you probably have about 70 achievements in this month. So that's pretty good out of 340. So that's some pretty good progress.
And I think once I get to the second disc, I'll start really hammering out the levels or the achievements a lot faster because some of them are just like unlocking items, which I can just do on the easy difficulty. And then there's 2 for each of the new levels, which is beat on normal and beat on chaos. And I only have to beat each of those levels with one character because there's like 3 or 4 characters per level that you can play that level on.
Okay.
But some of the characters actually have like a specific thing I have to do on that level on chaos.
Oh, gotcha.
So like apparently for the one that has Zhangjiao Peng Tongers, we'll see. I have to be the first to enter the castle on chaos, but I could choose one of those 3 characters. And that probably is all 3 characters.
Okay. So yeah, you think once you get to the second disc, it'll kind of pick up your pace a little bit?
Yep.
At least on the amount of achievements unlocked.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think with the
the
other 2 modes, it won't take me nearly as long either because of the just the way those modes work.
Yeah, getting those faster unlocks is definitely a nice incentive because, like, when you're playing a game that's like super stingy on the achievements or they're all like super backloaded, it's like you play through a huge chunk of the game with like no achievements. It kind of really zaps some of your enthusiasm
Well,
to
it
keep
doesn't help
playing.
whenever you get stuck on one achievement for like 3 hours
Yeah,
because of
that
one
too.
stage. I mean, to be honest, some of these characters I was able to get the chaos difficulty playthrough in like less than an hour because I had like no troubles with them at all.
Okay.
It's just that whenever I start having trouble with the level, it just takes forever. And it's usually because that character is not that good. Like they're not really designed for the higher difficulties. Like one of the ones I ended up playing today, Diao Chen. She has a for the type of character she is. She has a very slow moveset, and it really hurts that they gave her a heavy weapon as her best weapon. So that means she attacks even slower.
No.
And it's not like she hits hard enough either. And she has a very short range. And she has no defensive properties, to be honest, outside of her special attack. So because of that, she's a glass cannon without the cannon.
That sounds like all sorts of cons and no pros.
But once I finally beat that one, I beat that character. I got to play through the same 4 stages with the best character in the game.
Ah, nice.
So I pretty much beat that in the first try.
So yeah,
and he's mainly the best character because he uses a halberd, and he has one of his charge attacks is literally just him swinging it around in a circle.
Yeah,
and
it's actually of range on that.
It's a lot of range, and he's actually pretty fast. So because of that, nothing can really get through anything. So nice. If you're getting hit because you're not paying attention at all.
Okay. Yeah. Once you complete this one, whenever that happens, this one will be your most achievements in a completed game by a good.
At least on RetroAchievements.
Yeah, on RetroAchievements by
still 50. Won't beat Master Chief Collection.
Master Chief Collection was 700, but yeah, on RetroAchievements, your current largest is 294, and that's Dynasty Warriors 4, and this one's once you hit will be 341, so you have almost 50 more achievements. So
yep,
nice.
And outside of the beating each Muso mode with these characters, I still have to do like the challenge mode, but that's like your survival. That's like your 5-minute event thing where you just do this thing until you die or you complete the challenge. And it's just beating the end game set high score. I think I did one for time attack, and that was the one that gave me the hardest time, and I think Dynasty Warriors 3 or 4. But I was able to do that with them pretty quickly, so I think I should be able to do all of those pretty quickly.
It's kind of like when I did Clone Wars last summer for a GameCube launch event. After I beat the campaign, there was still like 4 more achievements for beating like the arena mode, and you just basically have to get to like beat wave 20, and it was like wave 20 wasn't bad. I think it was like wave 18 or 19 where I was like really sweating it. I was like almost didn't make it. Then fortunately I was able to do it on my first try. So it sounds kind of like
I did the first try too. Once you figure out how all the timers work and all that, you're pretty golden.
Yeah. So all right. Anything else on Dynasty Warriors?
Nope, but you're gonna hear about it more next month. So, hopefully it's me finishing it, but I don't think that may or may not happen because some of these next chaos modes might give me some trouble.
Yeah, understandable. But yeah, I'll probably have it done soon-ish if you keep up your current pace. So all right. On the Xbox side of things. Oh, you know what? I was going to couple of quick things to talk about that I didn't get into real deep detail is like in playing, that is. I started the third attempt at trying to get into this game, and I am going to play through it in its entirety this time. And that is on Carl and Kennedy and I's gaming challenge. It's on my hate list of games, and that is Hollow Knight. I've tried getting into it multiple times, and it's just like I just have zero desire to play it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it this time, especially since it has a lot of achievements. It'll help me get my recovery back up because it's got like 60 achievements, and I only had like 2. I now have 7, so I've made a little bit of progress, but I still only have like 35 gamer score because all 7 of those achievements have been worth 5 points. So it's been a little deflating, but I haven't gotten very far either. But I am enjoying it with air quotes. I am enjoying it a lot more than my first 2 attempts to get into it.
Maybe because now you've actually played a Dark Souls game, you know what you're getting into.
That could be part of it. But I'm not enjoying it. Like, I'm not really like, I'm not hating it either. It's just, it's better than my first 2 attempts at it. But playing this without like a full map, I basically have the game's full map on my iPad up next to me when I'm playing it. Because if it wasn't for that, like, that's like the main issue I have with the game is the map system. So having a map up next to me definitely helps my enjoyment. So I'm not feeling like completely lost the entire time. So I've only played it a little bit because I ended up getting pulled away from it a couple times because of panic playing stuff that was leaving Game Pass. But I do plan to at least beat the story. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get all the achievements because there's some very difficult achievements, but I do plan to at least beat the story before the end of May. But I've a little bit of progress there. A game that I actually started, and it's not because it was leaving Game Pass, because that's normally the only time I start a game right now is because it's going to leave Game Pass. Because I'm trying to get my recovery percentage up, and every time I start a new game, it drops it back down. I started one new game because I needed it for the monthly, or not the monthly, but you know how I say True Achievements does community events every once in a while.
Yeah.
And I talked about this on last Achievement Chasers, is that they were doing this boss rush where each achievement you get the true achievement difference, which is the difference between the true achievement value and the gamer score value. So if it's worth 15 TA, but it's only 10 gamer score, it's worth 5 TAD, true achievement difference. So that's what it uses to.
You mean 1.5, right?
Well, that would be the ratio for this achievement. But what it uses to do damage to each boss is the TAD. So if it was worth 15 TA, and it's worth 10 gamer score, then you'll do 5 points of damage to the boss. Base damage. There are modifiers that can either multiply or add bonuses if it's each boss has a different thing that they're strong to. And if it's strong to it, then the boss will take less damage, usually like some sort of like minus 20 points or like some sort of like 0.5 modifier. Or if they're weak to it, it could do times 2, times 3, times 4, times 5 damage. So if it was 5 points, it was times 5, you'd actually do 25 damage to it. Obviously, bigger TA differences are going to get multiplied, so they're going to do a lot more damage, or a lot less if it's a times, a multiplier in something that they're strong against. But sometimes it's like every achievement in this genre does plus 100 damage, so you could spam a whole lot of little achievements rather than doing one big one. But anyways, that was actually 2 months long, and it actually ends tomorrow. So there's still a few hours left on this event. I was not planning on it, but I ended up completing it and beating all 11 or 12 bosses. You only had to beat the first 5 to get credit for partaking in the event. So after that, I wasn't really paying attention to it. I was just going along, and whatever damage I did, I did. But after I got to like boss like 8 or 9, I was like, I actually could probably finish this. And so I forget. So let me pull up the bosses here. Because I think I got my credit for completing the 5 bosses before we did last episode of Achievement Chasers. So the first boss was the evil wizard from Castle Crashers. Second one was Second Sister from the Fallen Order. Third boss was Shao Kahn. Fourth boss was Tartarus from Halo. Fifth boss was Neo Cortex from Crash. And I think last episode we did Achievement Chasers, I was on boss 6, which is Saren from Mass Effect. So I was in the middle of working on him at the time. Boss 7 was Lilith from Diablo. Boss 8 was Scourge from Gears of War. Boss 9 is the Ender. I don't know what he's from, but it's pixelated, so I'm assuming it's some sort of turn-based RPG. Does the Ender sound familiar to you?
No.
The Ender boss. What?
You mean the Ender Dragon?
No. The Ender is an enemy that appears in Kappa Magna. I have no idea what that game is.
Never heard of it.
That's the boss though. So let's see.
Too many games.
Yeah, I don't know what game. I've never heard of this game. Maybe some of you Japanese game enjoyers. Oh, it's from Vampire Survivors.
Oh, it's not even a Japanese game.
Appears in Kappa Magna and Boss Rash. Oh, those must be like levels or game types in Vampire Survivors. So it's from Vampire Survivors. Didn't know that because I haven't played it, but I will be playing it.
Is Vampire Survivors even on Xbox?
It is. Yeah, the game is on Game Pass. However, it's got like 16 DLCs. Like half of them are title updates, which are nice, and the other ones are like $1 and $2 DLCs. So you can basically get it all for very cheap. However, on mobile, like iOS and Android and stuff, it is free. So I actually have it on here on my Flip, but I haven't actually played it yet. But I have it if I wanted to play it. However, it does not have the Xbox achievements. However, I could cloud stream the game and get the Xbox achievements. I just won't be playing it natively.
Yeah.
Boss 10 was kind of a gimmick boss, was Face McShooty from Borderlands. And do you know Face McShooty?
Yes.
Okay. Because for anyone who doesn't know, Face McShooty is not a boss. He's just a character you run into, and he just wants
you to shoot him in the face.
Shoot him in the face, and all you gotta do is shoot him in the face. He goes, "Thank you," and dies. And then you complete the quest. So all of these bosses, as you go, get a bigger and bigger health pool. So like the first boss is like 1,000 hit points. Then the second boss was like 1,500 points, and boss 3 was like 200 or 2,000 points. And some of these bosses got up to like 7,000 points. However, Face McShooty only had 4 points of damage. However, all the other bosses, they tell you what the modifier is, so you know, oh, I'm going to go for these achievements because these ones do bonus damage, and these are the achievements I want to avoid because these do less damage. He had his strengths and weaknesses were just question marks. It didn't say anything, so you kind of had to figure it out yourself. Because I was so late to getting to him, a bunch of people in forums were already talking about what it was, and all you needed to do for him was hit him with he had 4 points of health, and each achievement counted for 1. And the achievement that you needed in order to do damage against him was achievements in first-person shooters.
Makes sense.
It made it, and most of the achievements, or not most of the, most of their strengths and weaknesses are relevant to their characters and the franchises. Like if
they were weak to fire, you would have to do like some type of fire.
For example, like Lilith from Diablo, she has a strength to achievements that where the ratio is 6 or above because of 6. You know, Diablo.
666.
Yeah. Let's see. What's another example? Dr. Neo Cortex. He has a weakness to platformers or collection genre because that's the Crash games. They're platformers in the collection. But he has a strength.
Play Banjo.
You definitely could play Banjo, but he has a strength to achievements to start with the letter N for like Neo Cortex, you know, so stuff like that. So their strengths and weaknesses make sense to the bosses that they are. However, I looked through my first-person shooters, and most of my first-person shooters are all complete or almost complete. So all the achievements I have left in the few first-person shooters I haven't completed are all very difficult achievements. So I was like,
Mile High Club and Call of Duty 4.
Yeah, I've gotten all of them in Modern. I played Modern Warfare 1 and 2, like the classic ones, and I've gotten all the achievements. I played of the new Modern Warfares. I played the first one. I've completed it.
I was talking about the Mile High Club and the first Call of Duty 4.
Oh yeah,
Modern Warfare. I mean,
I did. Yeah, I have that one. But yeah, I was looking through my achievements and I had almost 0. Probably the easiest ones to get would have been in Master Chief Collection because I still have to get a bunch of the par score achievements. And I was like, I could do those, but I don't want to take the time to play through a level and then not get the score that I needed. So I was like, I'm gonna start a new game.
It's not that hard to get the par score because you could just put it on heroic and then put on a couple of the multiplier skulls.
When I did like Halo 3, I got all of the achievements in that one solo.
When we did it. Oh,
the original Halo 3, not Master Chief Collection, the original Halo 3. That's exactly what I did. Is I did it on Heroic with a decent number of skulls. Some of them I had to play a second time though. I didn't get it on the first try. I was like, I know I could do these. It may take a couple tries, and we're getting kind of low on time. And like I said, I'm trying to maximize.
If we waited until this weekend, we could have gotten some Halo 5 achievements.
Probably. But that's after the event ended. But I was like, I'm trying to maximize the amount of achievements per hour played on Xbox, essentially. So I was like, I'm gonna fudge it a little bit, and I'm gonna start a new game. So there's a free-to-play first-person shooter, and it's like a 1 to 2 hour completion. So that's called Aim Labs. So I was planning on saving that for my dive, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. And so I started it up, and I got the 4 achievements I needed to complete the boss and move on to boss 11, which is Terramorphous, also from Borderlands, like the super boss from Borderlands 2. So Aim Labs has 14 achievements. I wanted something that's quick to beat and has a low achievement count, so it didn't affect my completion percentage that much. So I've got 11 out of the 14, so I've only got 3 left, and I basically have them queued up, ready to go. So right now, I could go and get those 3 achievements and complete the game in like another 30 minutes if I wanted to. But I'm basically saving those as emergency achievements in case I need them, either between now and the time I finish my dive, or when I'm away on my trip, I could remote play, get those achievements real quick to keep my streak alive. So I'm keeping that one in my back pocket for now, but I could beat it if I wanted to. It's a nice, quick, easy completion. So, but the last boss, Terramorphous, had like a huge, like 10,000 point health pool,
which makes sense because he's a raid boss.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly how many points he had, but he had a big health pool because he's the last boss. He's boss 11. The boss in the game is one of the super bosses, raid bosses. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to complete this boss. Lo and behold, a couple of games that are on Game Pass that have a lot of players got a couple of title updates. So if you got in quick, these achievements are worth a lot of TA value. So both Human Fall Flat and another Crab's Treasure both got title updates within like a day of each other. I hopped in and I got those achievements basically within the first 24 hours. And
it's funny that you like another Crab's Treasure when it's kind of a Souls-like.
It is a Souls-like, and I don't like another Crab's Treasure, but I'll talk about that in a moment. But anyways, I got the, let me go ahead and pull it up here while I've got it handy.
I still need to play that game.
Another Crab's Treasure?
Yeah.
And where did
I have too much of a backlog.
Yeah, Human Fall Flat. So another Crab's Treasure released a title update with only 6 achievements, but because it had just released a title update, so it's free DLC, it has and it bases it based on how many people have played the game, not how many people have played the title update. And it was on Game Pass, and so there's like 56,000 people who have played it, and the TA values recalculate every night. So if you get them quick before more people have played them, they're now down to let me go back to the DLC here. They're down to 8 and 9 ratio achievements. So this one is worth 450 TA, but they were like a ratio of like 35. So each one of these achievements was worth like 1,500 points of damage towards Terramorphous. And same thing with the Human Fall Flat DLC or title update. It came out and had 4 achievements. Same thing. Those ones were each worth like 1,000, 1,500 points each. So they did huge chunks of his health. So I was able to basically knock out Terramorphous with not a whole lot of trouble. Because fortunately, most of those achievements were fairly simple. It's just because no one had played them yet because they literally just released. I was able to kind of cheese that boss essentially. They're still worth a good few hundred points, but they're not.
It's because most people that had already completed it, they're not going to be bothered as much to come back for a title update.
Exactly.
Achievement.
So they have dropped. Well, the Human Fall Flat achievements are still in the 15 to 19 ratio range, and they're worth like 600 to 700 points. But they're they were in like the 30s, so they've dropped a decent amount, but they're still worth a lot. So you could still use them for the few hours that are left. But I got them when they were still fresh, hot off the presses, and worth huge chunks. So I was able to knock out Terramorphous with not a whole lot of difficulty.
Speaking of title update, a game that I completed,
very fortuitous.
Speaking of title update, I think a game that I completed late last year got achievements added onto it on RetroAchievements.
Oh, what's that?
The new Super Mario Brothers for DS.
Okay. You haven't played it though, I'm assuming.
I have not gone in and got the achievements, but it looks like they're just challenges for specific levels.
Okay.
And also for the mini games, but I don't like those mini games on the emulator because guess what? A lot of them are touchscreen.
Oh, yeah. When I've got my DS games on here. Oh, that's another game I had to patch because it has touchscreen controls for no reason when you could easily use the D-pad. Phantom Hourglass, the Zelda game. I figured out how to patch it in order to use the D-pads because there's no touchscreen. I mean, this is a touchscreen, but it doesn't translate into the game. Yeah. So I had to patch it in order to use the D-pad. So I've got it working. I haven't played it yet. There are a couple different screen layouts. The one that I like the most is where the main screen takes out like most of it, and the second screen is like a tiny one over here. That's probably the one that I'll use the most when I do get to DS. If I play DS on here, I might just stick to playing the DS games on my PC, so I have a lot bigger screen real estate. But yeah, I know what you mean. So.
The thing is, though, all the challenge achievements are just beating each of the castles without getting hit and going in as small Mario.
Oh, okay.
So they're not complicated. It's just more busy work.
A little bit trickier.
Yeah.
Okay. So, while we're on the topic of the title updates, not related to getting achievements, but one of the so before I get into that, so another Crab's Treasure. Paul outed me on this because he's like, how did you beat that in an hour? I think I've talked about that before. It had console commands, and then they got patched out. So there was like as soon as they were discovered, they got patched out like the next day. So there was like one day where you could use the console commands to basically play through the game. And that was, let me see here, because I did it that day, August 7th. So there was a bunch of news going around the True Achievement forums about, hey, hop on these console commands quick. It's on Game Pass. So I hopped on. I got all the achievements in about an hour. And then just a couple days ago, they added a title update. And that's not a whole lot of people were able to take advantage of the console commands because it was only available for like a day or two. Mm-hmm. But it was kind of like a screw you guys, because now all you guys that played it super easy have 6 more achievements to get, and you don't really know how to play the game. Fortunately, because I started, they added a new game plus, and so out of the 6 achievements, 4 of the achievements you can get in the base game. So those ones were the easy ones to get. The 2 that they added specifically for New Game Plus, those were definitely a little bit harder. And so I started New Game Plus. You don't actually get to keep all of your equipment. You can still see everything. Like, here's all the stuff that you did collect, but you don't have access to it. You have to go and collect it again. And so I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get these last 2 achievements because they're freaking hard. Fortunately, I discovered that there are assists in the game that make it much easier. So I was able to turn on the assists, and it made those last 2 achievements much more doable. So I did end up getting all 6 of those title update achievements, and I have now recompleted another Crab's Treasure. And I did actually have to play I had to play a couple hours of it. Probably took me like 4 or 5 hours to get those 2 achievements.
How about did your Dark Souls playthrough help with that?
It definitely did help. Although the combat, I wasn't as familiar with the combat in another Crab's Treasure because it is slightly different, but it definitely plays like a Dark Souls game. And it doesn't explain like anything to you.
It's probably because you're on New Game Plus and you skipped the tutorial.
Exactly, our New Game Plus, so there's no tutorial. So I'm like, I don't really know how
That's
this
on you,
stuff
though.
works. That absolutely is on me. But just the first boss was like a freaking pain in the butt. But yeah. Anyways, where I was going with that is since these achievements had literally just come out, I'm like, I'm gonna hop on this. And not grift is definitely not the right word, but I'm gonna be an opportunist is the word and take a little bit of advantage of this. So I found one of the 4 achievements that you can get in the base game is for finding a hidden snail. And you just have to go and talk to him. So it's easy. You just have to know where the snail is. So there was already an achievement guide up, but it was just a text guide. It said, go, and it wasn't very clear. So it's like, I'm going to hop on this and take advantage of this. So I figured out where the person was talking about. And I'm like, oh, I see that snail up there. So I'm going to go and I'm going to record my gameplay. I'm going to upload it to my channel. So I uploaded, and the reason why is so I could, not so that I could have it on my channel, but so that I had a video guide available for this achievement on RetroAchievements. So I recorded it, posted it to my channel, and I posted an achievement guide for it on on RetroAchievements for this achievement. And it is called I Am Speed, Discover One of the Hidden Snails. So
I think I saw you post something like that. I was wondering why you actually decided to do it.
I have a few little achievement videos on my channel, but it's the only reason why I've done that is specifically for posting them on RetroAchievements. But anyways, it now has 46 upvotes on RetroAchievements and 0 downvotes. One of my because I've written probably about 100 achievement guides on RetroAchievements. This one, not my most upvoted one. My most upvoted one has about 87 or 89 upvotes, but it's also my most downvoted one. It has like 45 downvotes. This one's 46 and 0, so it's definitely my best ratio and one of my most liked ones. And not only that, but I was looking at the analytics on for the video on YouTube, and like 70% of the traffic on this video is from RetroAchievements, which is exactly the reason why I posted it. But it's still got about 30% viewing of people just looking it up on YouTube and stuff. And it's a minute 10 video, and it's done. It's now by double. It's my most viewed video on my channel, whereas my most viewed video was a Sheepo achievement guide, which had like 800 or 900 views, and this one now has 1.8 thousand views. And this 1 minute video has given me 25 hours of watch time towards my like monetization goal. So and it got me 2 subscribers as well. So that was kind of cool. I was like, I want to take advantage of this while it's hot off the presses, and it's done some good stuff for me. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit.
Makes sense.
So I talked about boss rush, title update, another crab trevor, human fall flat. And all right, so that's about all the Xbox like kind of quick stuff. The rest of the stuff I have to talk about is more in depth. So if you want to go, you can go ahead and have the floor, and then I'll get to those things on my next segment.
Yeah, I mean I think the only guide I've actually done is actually just a clarification on how a glitch happens on a specific achievement. So I try to explain how that and how you could fix it. So, but of course, the only way to fix it is to reset the entire game, and so you have to unlock every character in that game. It's Warriors Orochi 3 Ultimate.
Oh, did you play that?
Yes.
Oh,
a long time ago.
Oh, I meant recently.
I was talking about the walkthrough I made on RetroAchievements.
Oh, one of the walkthroughs that you made. Wait, a walkthrough or an achievement guide?
Achievement guide. Actually.
Okay. Gotcha.
And it was just for that one achievement. It was just mainly just talking about how the glitch happens.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
It's because of the way Koei games ask you to sign in as a player. And if you come in from resume, it can kind of break things.
Oh, if you use quick resume?
Yeah. Even back when you can only do it with one game.
Oh, on the original Xbox, gotcha.
Yeah.
You want to restart the game from fresh every time you play it?
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, I pulled up the Star Wars Fallen Order achievement guide. I've got 91 upvotes, but I got 42 downvotes. So it's not a terrible ratio. That's my most upvoted one. But the one the Another Crab's Treasure one is definitely like my best ratio for upvotes to downvotes.
I've got like 5 upvotes, but no downvotes. If I saw it correctly. Yeah, no 5 upvotes, no downvotes.
Excellent.
And it's mainly because mine is supplemental to the one that already exists.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like I said, the one that I did, had just a text guide. It wasn't exactly clear. So I made a video. I'm like, start here and go here and talk to this guy. And so it's very clear. It's very quick and concise. So it's gotten majorly upvoted. And the other one that was originally there was like 9 and 2 when I found it. It's now like 17 and 4, and mine's 46 and 0. So I'm happy about that.
So let's talk about the only other game that I've been playing, and this is the one I've been doing on stream, and it's this bastard. Still, last stream I did absolutely nothing but die 80 times.
I was gonna ask you, did you remember? I mean, I could go back and look on the stream to see what you started at and what you ended at, but it sounds like you already knew.
I started at 199 and I was like 280.
Okay. Yeah. So he's working on Ninja Gaiden Sigma, and you are currently playing.
I'm doing the Xbox version.
Ninja.
It's just that this one actually has I just have a physical copy on PlayStation.
Yeah, you're playing the Xbox version from the Master Ninja collection.
Luckily, this one does not have trophies.
Oh.
So I don't have to worry about it on PlayStation 3.
Okay. Sigma 2 has trophies, though, doesn't it?
It does have trophies, sadly.
And I've heard that's the worst one of the 2 Sigma games.
Well, whenever I play through 2, I'll be playing through the original 360 version.
Oh, that's right. You're going to do the 360 version of 2.
But I will be having a detox game in between, though.
Okay.
Especially when I'm spending 30 streams on one game.
Do you know what your detox game is going to be?
Kingdom Hearts 1.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to do the PS4 version.
So you're a fan of Kingdom Hearts?
Yes.
Okay.
Why do you think I keep having Kay play it?
Oh, that's right. You did. Because I was thinking about Kay, how much she hates it. But I forgot that you were part of.
And it's kind of funny that James is actually enjoying it. I still find it weird that Kay was like, "Why do you have to equip skills?" Because some skills later on will actually override each other.
Okay.
That's why they do it that way. It's because some of them will actually use the same buttons and they can't really be used together.
So, but yeah, you're working on Master Ninja difficulty on Ninja Gaiden Sigma.
And I'm trying to get Master Ninja rank on every level.
Master Ninja rank on every level. So that not only is Master Ninja hard enough, but getting Master Ninja rank on every level.
Although once I found out this one trick, it hasn't been that bad.
Oh, okay. So just a second before you get to that, because I will be playing this version as I have the Master Ninja collection. I just haven't played it yet. I don't think I'm ever going to get the achievement that you're currently working on. I might beat it on Master Ninja. I don't think I'll do beating it on Master Ninja with Master Ninja rank on every level. But what is that trick that you discovered?
Well, apparently the game is so badly coded that it decides it wants to keep the timer going even whenever you press continue from your death.
So the rank that you get at the end of each level is determined by a couple of different things. How much time you took, how many kills you got, how much money you spent, and how much Nimpo you have left. And
also how much karma you got through the level.
Yeah, those things determine how much karma, which is basically like
those give you bonus karma at the end of the level.
Yeah, and your karma score is what determines your rank, whether it's lesser ninja, head ninja, greater ninja, master ninja. So you want to do it fast. But what Dude discovered is that if you hit continue when you die, the timer doesn't reset to what it was when you last saved. It keeps running from, if you died, you still have that time in between your last save and when you died. So if you actually want the timer to reset so it doesn't count against you as much, you have to quit and then reload your last save.
Which is just extra steps.
Which is so dumb.
Exactly. And this is one of your favorite games.
I've not played Sigma before.
Here's the thing, though. I wonder if this is in the original.
Oh, I was going to check that. I forgot. I will test that, and I will let you know. I'm assuming you probably have it. You probably just haven't played it, right?
I just haven't played it enough, no.
Yeah. I will, either tonight or tomorrow, I'm going to test that, and I will let you know.
Gotcha. Because if it's in the original game, that's not on Sigma's fault.
Yeah, I've never really paid that much attention to it. It's like, oh, cool, I got Head Ninja, or I got Greater Ninja, or I got Master Ninja, awesome. But I haven't really paid attention to, actually like trying to get, like, I need to get Master Ninja rank on every difficulty. So I haven't really paid too much attention to it. So I will test that and I will let you know.
Gotcha. And of course, some of the timers on some of these fights are just ridiculous. Like the 120 enemy ambush that I'm doing right now has like a 6-minute timer.
Yeah. So each encounter you get into, it won't show up by default. You actually have to push a button to show.
And I wish there was a way you could permanently leave it on. Because every time I die, Every time I die, I hate having to press that button every single time.
Same here. That is in the original Ninja Gaiden Black. Every time I die, it goes back to just showing your hit counter. You do have to hit the button to switch to show your
I wish that when it saved
time.
that the fact that you had that on.
Yeah, I wish it saved that. Fortunately, it's just a single button press, but it is annoying to have to do it every single time.
It's just more that whenever you die 80 times on a stream, you have to press that button 80 times.
Yeah.
It's the little things that matter.
Yes, the little things. So the other thing, I don't know if it's on Sigma how it is, but one of the things that annoyed the crap out of me that I never realized before is on Ninja Gaiden Black, the X-axis is inverted, and there's absolutely no way to change it either in the game or on the Xbox system level. You just got to deal with it.
For the camera, you mean?
For the camera. So that was annoying as crap.
Well, it's probably actually normal camera controls according to today, because you like inverted, don't you?
I like inverted on Y-axis, not on X-axis. There is a setting in the game to invert the Y-axis, like most games have. There's no option to invert the X-axis, and it's inverted by default. There's no way to change it. And by that, so obviously, like most people play default, where up looks up and down looks down. I play inverted, where down looks up and up looks down. Because that's how all the console first-person shooters were before Halo came around and changed it. For the X-axis, very similar. You want to turn right, you hit right. You want to turn left, you hit left. It's inverted by default. So if I want the camera to go right, I have to hit left. And if I want the camera to go left, I have to hit right. And there's no way to change that. That annoyed the crap out of me.
That's one of the biggest problems with that era of gaming is the inverted controls, and there was no standardization, and also there wasn't as much customization.
It's got a Y-axis invert option in the settings. Why isn't there an X-axis invert? Baffles me.
I said, it wasn't standardized back then.
Hey, D-Dad Direwolf is here. What's up? We're talking about Ninja Gaiden right now, so perfect timing.
So back when I was playing a bunch of PS2 games, whenever I went back and forth between certain games, it's like, dang it, I kept on pressing the wrong direction for the camera almost half the time, because between games it was never standard on the PS2.
Yeah, while I was playing through Ninja Gaiden, I kept changing the camera the wrong way, even though it took me, I was playing 5 streams to beat it, and I was still doing it on the last stream. I'm like, keep turning the camera the wrong way. So I totally get it.
It wasn't until the 360 and PS3 where it actually became standard.
One of my favorite features on the 360 that got rid of on the Xbox One is you could set those settings at the console level, so it automatically does it for every game. I don't know why they got rid of it. You could set your Xbox 360 profile to inverted, and then every first-person game, it automatically inverted. You didn't have to go into the settings to invert it. And then they got rid of it. I have no idea why.
I did not know that was there, but then again, I always use normal controls.
Yeah, it was there. There was also a setting for racing games that you could set at your profile as well. I want to say it was whether you use triggers for gas and brake or A and B for gas and brake. I think that's what it was, but there was a racing setting that you could set on your profile, and it would automatically default to that as well. I don't understand why they got rid of that. Now,
maybe because most developers didn't actually use it.
Well, it's at the console level. It automatically feeds that info to the game, regardless of what game it is. Why didn't they keep it? Now I have to go into every game I start up, go into the settings, and invert it. So, but anyways, oh shoot, what was I going to say about Ninja Gaiden? Inverted. Oh, the camera thing. So the other thing about the camera is you'll have to tell me how Sigma is, but there's 2 camera modes. You have to click the right joystick to switch between the camera modes. The default is whenever you move the right stick, it goes into first person and you turn around and look around. However,
that's just considered aiming mode for on the Xbox on the Sigma version.
Yeah, so it defaults to that, right? Where you move the right stick and it goes into first person.
Actually, what's weird is that one actually has inverted Y controls.
So when you're in first-person view, I'm pretty sure the X-axis is not inverted. But when you're not in first-person mode, the X-axis is inverted.
I think
double check on that. But once you click the right stick, then when you move the joystick, instead of going into first person to look around, it just moves the camera around behind you. But it always defaults to the first person mode, which I never ever use. The only time I use first person is when I'm aiming a bow, which automatically goes into first person when you're shooting it.
I think they just separate it to two different button presses. And Sigma.
Shooting the bow is the B button. At least I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because that's your
yeah, that's just how you normally do it. But if you wanted to actually go into first person mode, you actually have to press a different button.
Oh, so yeah. So if you tap B, it'll just shoot an arrow from third person mode. If you hold B and then I think hit left trigger, it goes into first person.
In Sigma version, it just uses a single button press to go into first person mode.
I may be wrong about that. I'll have to double check because you don't really go into first person and shoot arrows all that much. But anyways, it defaults to when you move your joystick, it defaults to first person. So anytime I'm running around and I try to move the camera to see around a corner, it stops and goes into first person mode. I have to click it every single time because just like the detailed combat information, every time you die, it resets. So I have to click this again. Left bumper is the one that changes your combat information, and then right stick switches the camera mode. So every time I die, I have to hit both of them to go back to my
there's no camera mode in Sigma.
Okay. So
from what I've played.
In Ninja Gaiden Black, every time I died, it resets. So I had to hit both of those buttons after every time I died in order to get back to the way I like. So that's what I want to talk about when you talked about the whole, your combat information. So, but anyways, you are in, well, at least on the Ninja Gaiden Black, I think it's chapter 5, but it might be a different chapter because Ninja Gaiden Black doesn't have the Rachel chapters.
Well, I think it's chapter 6 in Black because I've only gone through one Rachel episode or chapter right now.
Because chapter 5 on Ninja Gaiden Black is the first time you go into the monastery.
It is?
Yeah. And then when you go down and then come back up in chapter 7, I'm pretty sure is when you fight Alma. D-Day might be able to correct me on that because he's more.
That's chapter 9 because chapter 8 is another Rachel stage.
That makes sense. I think on Sigma, it's chapter 9 because of the Rachel segments, which Black doesn't have. But anyways, you're in your first segment of the monastery in the first ambush in the library, which is now 120 enemies, and
yep. It's 2 of the Black Cat's demons and one red ninja.
The red ninja that throws the incendiary shirt.
You know what's funny? I would think I'd rather fight 3 red ninjas because they're actually more outside of the one grab. They're actually they're actually much more predictable.
And they're not as evasive as the cats are, so they're a little bit easier to get into a combo. And
then it really sucks whenever they decide they want to try and do the grab attack on you. If you try to attack them while they're in that stance, right before they jump at you, you can't hit them. So as soon as you've attacked them, you're pretty much taking damage.
Yeah. So
and sometimes they'll start that animation as you're swinging your sword, and you see how bullshit that is.
Yeah.
So it's like it's like a real fighting game where they're reading your inputs.
Yep. Kind of, yeah. I remember because I was watching most of your stream yesterday, and there was one of them where like, oh, that was total garbage.
Most of the deaths were complete garbage. I think one was so bad I was like, yeah, I'm not even counting that death.
Yes, I remember that. But yeah, so for anyone who isn't familiar with each combat encounter, if you had the detailed combat information on, you have a timer, and if you complete that combat encounter in under that time limit, you get bonus karma, which will help with your.
Well, it's only 10,000 karma, so usually for these ambush fights, it's actually better to farm out ultimate techniques because it gives you 5,000 each.
Oh, that's a good point. So, but yeah, it'll
but
give
because
you bonus
of
karma.
because of the enemies that I'm fighting in this one, it's not even worth trying to do those because you're just going to get hit soon before you can even let go of the button.
Yeah, so you have a countdown timer. If you beat it under that time, you get bonus karma. You get 10,000 bonus karma, which helps your rank at the end of the level. And depending on how many enemies there are, it usually gives you a longer one. But this one, 120 fast enemies, it only gives you 6 minutes. I think that timer is literally impossible. I don't,
especially whenever you're sitting when there's sometimes you're sitting there 15 minutes just trying to dodge every attack coming your way just so you don't take damage. And you can't even attack them because if you attack one, the other ones will hit you both at the same time. It's ridiculous.
And so, as Dude is just mentioning, these ambushes are depending on what enemies you're facing. If they're slower, it's great to use your ultimate techniques in order to get more karma from doing ultimate techniques.
That's what I was able to do with the first one in the airship.
But these enemies are so fast, unless you're using absorbing essence from previously defeated enemies, there's no way you'll ever be able to charge up enough.
And even then, I still can't do it because they hit me before I even get the essence.
Because they're so fast.
Even when I'm jumping across the map and then doing the charge right after I land, it still doesn't do it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Tricky. So this one is, that one is, I don't know what the heck they were thinking. It's funny because when I was doing it, I'm pretty sure I did every ambush. However, I didn't get credit for everyone because I got screwed by crap. But the ones that have the ogres gives you tons of time, and I always, anytime an ambush had an ogre, had ogres in them, it like gave you way too much time, and I beat those with like 5 minutes left. But if it doesn't have an ogre in it, the time limits are super short. So,
I think I beat the first ambush in the time limit, but that was with just the MSATs. So that's the one, the airship. Well, actually, I think that was one of the ambushes that got added in because it was it's in the room that I think that had the crate maze.
Oh yeah, there's no.
They removed
room.
They removed like 90% of the crates and just made it an ambush.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's no ambush in that one. The first ambush in Black, I might be getting. I'm like, is that an ambush? Because I'm remembering one in the first level in the room where the floor opens, but that might have just been in the mission mode, not actually in the game.
I think that's a normal encounter in the main game, but it's one you want to complete because you want the extra karma for the kills
and the money.
Yeah,
from
that
the
too.
yellow essence because it's early. You want to be able to buy stuff when you get the chance. So
definitely abuse the wall attack in there.
So, but yeah, so your entire stream was that ambush, and you have not completed it yet. Is that correct?
Yep. And what sucks is I went through missions 3, 4, 5, and 6, like in one stream.
And then you're stuck on this one, the entire one stream with no progress.
That first mission I was stuck on one stream too. So that first time, but then that was also the time when I found out the timer was causing me issues.
Yeah.
So then when I finally beat it. So when I finally beat it, I got no bonus time. And I was like, wait, where'd all my time go? And then I didn't get Master Ninja. So I was like, I'm just going to take this next stream.
Yeah, so one thing I think you should have done is, since that didn't count, essentially, you should have started your death timer over.
Well, I still was trying to actually complete the mission. So I still would have had all those deaths. But I ended up beating in 1 hour the next stream.
Okay.
So it didn't take me nearly as long. For some reason, I was way more focused that stream.
I've had that where it's like
in the zone.
Yeah, I've had that where it's like I just banging my head against the wall. Not necessarily in Ninja Gaiden, but just like in games in general. It's like, I don't know how you're supposed to be able to do this, and I put it on hold, and I come back to it like a day or two later, and I beat it on the first try. I'm like, what the heck? So I've definitely had that happen before.
Kind of what happened with Nitro Red with one jump into the croc. No, that's the platform, the 3D platformer.
I was gonna say, you're talking about Croc, the little green alligator platformer, right?
Apparently, they're in one of the bonus levels that there was apparently a jump that gave him a hard time during his first time making the video for it, and then recently he got the HD re-release as a preview code.
And who is it we're talking about?
Nitro Red.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
He does a lot of platform stuff.
Okay. So he had trouble with it, and then he's like, "Oh, it was easy."
And then when he got to that point in the HD version, he was like, "Wait, did the new controls make this easier?" Or and then he tried it with the classic controls, and he did it first try again, and it's like, and then he finally realized what his mistake was from the first video. It's because he was actually trying to make the jump while he was close to the enemy, so that caused the enemy to constantly throw out fireballs. But if he did a running jump, if he jumped from far back, the enemy wouldn't do its fireball in the same exact timing, so he'd be able to jump around the fireball easier.
That's not entirely intuitive.
Well, the original game had tank controls, so.
Oh, it did.
Yes, but he actually says that it is the best example of good tank controls for a platformer because it's actually pretty forgiving.
Tank controls on a platformer. That sounds like an oxymoron.
Well, it's because whenever he jumps.
Although I guess the original Tomb Raiders had that too.
Yeah, it's mainly because in the original game, the whenever you jumped, it actually changed to a more modern type of control of how you are in the air. Where if you press left, you actually go towards the left in the air. It's just that when you're on the ground, it's like tank controls.
Interesting that the controls are different when you're in the air than when you're on the ground.
But he actually says it's actually very intuitive. But they also changing the HD remaster to have more modernized controls. And he said it made the game so easy.
Nice.
It's almost like the game was designed around the original tank controls.
Yeah, sounds like it.
But it's just funny whenever you have those type of things happen and then you come back to it later and it's so much easier. But that did not happen with this ambush.
Maybe it will on your next one.
Well, it's going to be my third stream on it.
Third stream on the ambush or just third stream on...
Third stream on the ambush.
Oh my goodness. Fingers crossed. I'm rooting for you. But yeah, so you mentioned, I think it was before we went live, but it's 120 ambush that you're playing on Master Ninja, and I think you said the highest you got was 60. So you made it to the halfway point.
Yep.
Ouch.
What sucks is that you can make one mistake and instantly die because of the way these enemies attack.
Yeah, they're very fast and very unforgiving.
Yep, and there's no synchronicity between the enemies.
Yeah, so sometimes. Sometimes like two enemies that have like different like sets of attacks, just like they work well together to accomplish their goal, but for you, it's just like the worst.
Yep. And of course, I just hate the cat's attack where they jump off the wall and do their own flying swallow.
I was just gonna mention that because they can.
If they
you can be in the middle of an Azuna drop and they can knock you out of it.
If they didn't have that move, I would probably be able to get it. I would actually feel like this would be a fair fight.
Yeah, it's like I got him up in the air and I've hit him 3 times, about to Azuna drop, and then the cat knocks you out of it. It's like, are you kidding me? Yeah.
And then that can cause you to get comboed and die, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
If they hit you while you're in the air using that move, it should do a very small amount of damage, to be honest. They should have made it so it
because
multiplier.
Just that little one does like way too much damage.
Yeah. If you're trying to do an Azuna drop and then you get hit while you're doing it, and because you can't see the enemy doing their attack, and also you can't do anything once you're up there.
Yeah.
You're pretty much just face tanking the hit no matter what. They should have made it so that during that the damage multiplier should have made it much lower.
Yeah.
So,
definitely not going to disagree there.
There's a lot of little things that make this game just ridiculously stupid. Although I don't know if I'd still say DMC2 would be better now. But that's mainly because I've started thinking about how the ranking system in DMC2 works, and if I ever wanted to S rank everything. You want to know how ridiculous the S ranks are in that game? And there's a retro achievements for Devil May Cry 2 on PS2.
I would assume so.
The main set asks you to S rank both characters' playthroughs on every difficulty, but on one specific level, they said, "Nah, we're gonna make you do an A rank."
Because this one level is just like so brutal.
It's just annoying because of the boss fight. It's just brutal for no reason.
Oh,
and it's not even a good boss fight. It's the only underwater boss fight in all of Devil May Cry.
Oh, yeah, underwater in games that weren't meant for it.
Yep.
Not a great combination.
So even they were like, yeah, we're not going to make this as part of the main set, but they did actually add it to the bonus set.
Into the bonus set. That makes sense.
But Devil May Cry 1's ranking system is actually not too complicated. It's just don't take damage and beat the level as fast as possible. So if you don't take any damage and you beat the level as fast as possible, you're going to get an S rank easy.
Oh.
So
does it lock you into encounters, or can you skip past enemies?
There are some encounters that you can skip.
Okay.
But there are some that just you're forced into.
That makes
but
sense.
if you've played through the game, you know which ones they are. And unlike other games, I think each encounter was pretty much the same thing. It just increased health.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't like really change up anything. Just kind of tweaks the stats.
Yep, makes them hit you harder and makes them be able to take more hits. So, I think I'd rather S rank Devil May Cry 1 than Master rank Ninja Gaiden Sigma. But I'm stuck with Sigma.
I can't say because I haven't played Sigma or DMC1, but I can understand where you're coming from.
And also Devil May Cry 1, it actually is better designed so you don't take damage. Usually whenever you take damage, it's your fault.
Understandable. All right. Well, with that, I will get into the things that I played more in depth than kind of just briefly touching on. So, and then these are these are more or less in the order that I played them throughout the month. So, I did panic play a few games at the 1/2 at the beginning of the month, and then one at the end of the month. So, the first one what is called Botany Manor, and it's a first-person puzzle game. And I love first-person puzzle games, and you're in this like English, manor estate, and it's a puzzle game in growing flowers. You have to get just the right conditions to grow these unique flowers. So you have to figure out like one of them is like one of the flowers only grows in thunderstorms, but there's no thunderstorm, so you have to mimic a thunderstorm to get it to grow. So very interesting concept. It had an Xbox and a Windows stack, so I did both of those, and that's why I said 1/2 at the beginning of the month, because it's a pretty short completion. I think it was like a 4 to 5 hour completion on the first one, and since I already knew what I was doing for the second one, it was probably like a 2 to 3 hour. But it was a pretty good puzzle game. Had some great puzzles, and it was very pretty and colorful and bright. It had like a cell shaded. It was kind of like the color palette was kind of like the Mirror's Edge, where everything's very bright and pronounced, but in like a cell shaded type of way. So it's very, very pretty, not very detailed because it's the cell shaded. There's not a whole lot of detail in cell shading, but it was pretty. And it was a very interesting puzzle game. I liked it, and I did not mind double stacking that one because I quite enjoyed it. The other game that feels like forever ago that I played, when I was looking at it, I'm like, I played that last month? I thought I played that a couple months ago, and that was Dishonored, Death of the Outsider. I was looking at it, and I got, because I had already had 1 or 2 achievements back from when I started it a couple years ago. But the first achievement I got when I was like, all right, well, I'm sitting down, I'm playing through this in its entirety, was like April 2nd. And then I got the last achievement on like April 5th. So I burned through it in like the first week of April. And that's why it feels like it was so long ago. But it was just more Dishonored. I know I've been talking about a lot of Dishonored this year because I played through all 3 of them. And this one was much shorter. It was like I think it took me 26 hours to complete it, and the estimated completion time was 20 to 25, so it's pretty on the nose. Whereas Dishonored 1 and 2 are both like 60 to 80 hour completions or more. So it was definitely shorter game. And the achievements were, I don't want to say more forgiving, but they weren't so stingy in the first one. Because like the 1 and 2, my biggest issues with them were the achievements, in that there was an achievement for beating the game without killing anyone, beating the game without ever getting detected, beating the game without buying any of the upgrades, which takes a lot of the fun out of the game. This one did have a couple of them. Like it did have an achievement for.
We weren't supposed to do all 3 of them at the same time.
Well, on 1 and 2, the guides actually recommend doing all 3 of those in one playthrough. I was like, I'm not doing that. So I did do the no killing and don't get detected achievements in the same playthrough. However, I was like, I'm not doing it also with no upgrades and not buying anything. So I was like, so for Dishonored 1 and 2, I did my stealth playthrough, low chaos, no death or no killing anyone, and no getting detected. But I bought all my upgrades, which made it way better. And then when I did my second playthrough, I did high chaos. You can kill everyone, you can be detected, but I did no buying any upgrades. So that is definitely the way I recommend doing it, because not buying any upgrades makes doing it without getting detected way more difficult. However, Death of the Outsider did have, I don't think it had an achievement for not killing anyone. It did have an achievement for not getting detected, but it didn't have an achievement for not buying any upgrades. So it was a lot easier. All I had to do was not get detected. But when I can kill people and I can buy upgrades, it makes that not trivial, but it makes it a lot easier than in the first two. So I was able to burn through it. And you don't have to do, there's no high and low chaos, so there's not automatically 2 playthroughs. I was basically able to get all the achievements in 1 and like a quarter playthrough. I had to do a second playthrough, where I had to play through the first like level or 2 in order to wrap up some achievements. But it was far more easy to get the achievements in this third one than the first 2. And talking to Nightmare, yeah, he and I talked about in depth Dishonored when he was on open mic not too long ago, because he's a huge fan of Dishonored as well. And he says Death of the Outsider is basically a standalone expansion to Dishonored 2. And that was exactly what I'm thinking. Is I think I don't know if this is confirmed or not anywhere, but I think they originally built it as a DLC for 2 and they spun it off into its own game, and that's why it's a shorter time frame. So Nightmare hasn't played it. He's played 1 and 2, and Dishonored 2 is like one of his favorite games, and I totally understand why if you're not playing it for achievements. I talked about it last time, but on Dishonored 2, I had to play a partial third playthrough, and that third playthrough, I played like the first 2 levels, and that was the most fun I had in the entire game, because you have access to everything, because you don't have to worry about not getting detected. You have both characters' powers. But I only played the first 2 levels. If I was to continue that and play through that third playthrough to the end, that would definitely be my most favorite. But you can't do that, at least until your third playthrough, because of the achievements. So the achievements ruin a lot of the fun of the game. That was not as big of an issue in Death of the Outsider, but he hasn't played Death of the Outsider. But when it comes to the achievements, it's a far better game. I don't think he wanted to play it because of story reasons. I didn't think it was bad. I enjoyed it. Nothing really stood out to me as like, oh, that's just stupid or terrible. I enjoyed it for the most part, and because the achievements were easier, out of the I'm not going to say it's the best of the 3, but it's the one I had the most fun with because the achievements aren't so punishing. And he is saying that that's exactly what it was. Death of the Outsider was originally planned as a DLC to spin it off into its own game. All right, cool. Thank you for informing me of that, because that was kind of the impression I got. I just wasn't sure I wasn't sure if it was ever confirmed. And yeah, he says he didn't play it for story reasons. I didn't think it was that bad. The reason why he didn't is because we did talk about that on open mic, is because of the Outsiders, kind of this ethereal being who only reveals themselves to a couple of people every couple hundred years. And he's kind of like one of the Daedric gods from the Elder Scrolls games, where he gives his mark to certain people, which gives them the abilities to like teleport and like possess rats and possess people. Most people don't have that, because like in the 3 Dishonored games, they all take place in the course of about 20 years. There's only 2 people in the entire world that have the Outsider's mark. Your character Corvo, or 3 depending on how you play 2, because in 2 you can play as Corvo or his daughter Emily, and you get the option to receive his mark regardless of which character you play as. So technically they count as 2. And there's Dowd, who is the character that is the bad guy, the first one. He also has the Outsider's mark, but they're the only ones in the entire world that have the mark. So the Outsider like gives his mark to certain people and kind of watches the chaos happen, and just to see what they do, as almost like a form of entertainment, to see what happens when certain people have these special abilities that other people don't have. So with all that, obviously it's no spoiler, the third game is called Death of the Outsider. You're trying to kill the Outsider. who exists basically outside of space and time, but he's not omniscient. He doesn't know everything, but he can appear anywhere at any time. And so you're trying to kill him. And I know Nightmare wasn't a fan of that because he likes that kind of that character. So D-Day Direwolf, a cosmic being, essentially, yeah. Corvo Dowd, Delilah. That's right. I forgot about Delilah. Oh, I didn't realize Granny Rags had the Outsider's mark as well. I did not realize that. So about 5 people. So not very many people in 100 years have the mark. So there are at least 4 that we know of. So, but yeah, he doesn't just give it out willy-nilly. Very specific people he gives it to and kind of watches the chaos unfold. And your goal in the third one is to kill him. Although at the end, you do have the choice to either kill him or not kill him.
It's almost like Sheogorath with his staff.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Sheogorath, and his madness, he just kind of wants to see what happens. The chaos.
I almost want to just get the Oblivion remake just to play through that DLC again.
Oh, the Shivering Isles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Sheogorath is my favorite of the Daedric princes.
Okay, he's really the only one that really gets fleshed out, so he's my favorite as well. There are quests for each of the other ones, but it's obviously they don't each
Oblivion
have their
did
own
have
DLC.
one of the Daedric princes as the main villain.
Oh, Mehru's Dagon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
but
he kind of got a little bit as well.
Yeah, Sheogorath is the most fleshed out. I'd probably say Mehru's Dagon is next, but he kind of shows up at the beginning and then at the end. There wasn't a whole lot of him in between, right? It's been almost 20 years since I played Oblivion, so I could be getting some details wrong. But I will be playing the Oblivion remake at some point.
I think the reason why we get Sheogorath so fleshed out better is because he just wants to have fun. So because of that, his quests usually involve him there. All the other Daedric princes, they're just like, go do this and come back with their head or something.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say it's kind of like that. But yeah, so I played Death of the Outsider and I enjoyed it. And I finished it off in like about 4 days. So it did not take a long. And some of the powers weren't as good as the powers available in 1 and 2, but they weren't bad by any means. Sorry. No, you know what? There were 2 playthroughs required because you had to beat New Game Plus in order to get one of the achievements. So I did have to do a full second playthrough, but because I had basically done all the other achievements, one of the achievements is for completing all of the side missions. That's what takes the most time playing through it the first time. But when you don't have to do that, all you got to do is beat the game on New Game Plus. You basically beeline it to the main objective and complete each mission. So instead of one mission taking like an hour, you can beat one mission in like 20 minutes. So it was much, much quicker. The thing is that in Dishonored 1 and 2, New Game Plus doesn't. Well, I don't think anything. I don't even know if Dishonored 1 had a New Game Plus, but in Dishonored 2 in New Game Plus, because like I said, you play as 2 different characters and each have their own set of powers. Once you beat it, you can use both players' powers and you can do some really interesting combinations with those. In Death of the Outsider, it replaces some of your abilities. So some of the abilities that you're used to having, you don't have anymore, but you have some new abilities in that you didn't have them in your first playthrough, but they're abilities that you had in previous Dishonoreds that replace some of the other ones. So the playthrough is a little bit different in that the powers you have are different. But the second full playthrough was very quick because you don't have to worry about doing any of the side missions. You can do them if you want, but you don't have to. So you can just book it to the objective and complete the missions much, much quicker. So Direwolf says, I like Mora, the Eldritch God stand-in.
Yeah, that was the one based on the DLC from Skyrim. I think he was.
I remember.
I think that was the Daedric Prince tied to the first Dragonborn or something like that.
Oh, okay. I remember that name.
The Daedric Prince of Knowledge or something like that.
Okay. In the Dragonborn DLC in Skyrim?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nightmare says 1 does not have a New Game Plus. Okay. I didn't think so. 2 does. Having all the powers is fantastic. That's when you have the most fun. That was on my 3rd playthrough. But that's Death of the Outsider. The next one that I played where I had a few achievements because one, it's not a story-based game. It's one that, I kind of go back to every once in a while. And it's a quick pick up and play for a few minutes here and there. I finally got around to the most recent Trials game, Trials Rising, because the one that I've been not playing a lot of, but I've been keeping in my quick resume for a while is Trials Fusion, which is the previous one. And I was like, you know what? This one has a good chunk of achievements. I'm going to knock out a good chunk of them to help recover my completion percentage. Of all the Trials games, I have completed with all achievements the first one, Trials HD, the Xbox 360 arcade game. None of the rest of them will I ever get all the achievements because some of them are retardedly difficult. But I love these games. So I played through Trials Rising, and I have 38 out of like the 50 achievements. So there's like, you know what? Let me tell you exactly how many I have. But I've got about 75%, I'd say, Trials Rising. I have 38 out of 53, which is 71%. So I got a, and I was at like 4 or 5 achievements. So got a good chunk of it. I've got most of the game knocked out. I did complete the story mode, if you want to call it that. Everything that I have left are just these like random achievements for doing like some of these ridiculous challenges. Except there are a couple achievements like aim labs I've got queued up ready to go in case of an emergency. There are 2 achievements in this, or 3 achievements, I think, in Trials Fusion or Trials Rising that I could probably go and get in a matter of like 30 seconds. So it's like, I'm not going to get those. I'm going to hold on to them in case I need them. And then if I don't need them by the time I get to my dive, because once I do my dive, I'll have tons of easy achievements at my disposal if I ever need to, need something in order to keep my streak alive. But right now, I'm very limited on what I have in case of emergency. So I'm like, I'm going to keep my back pocket. So I've got like 6 achievements right now that I've got queued up ready to go. I can get them in a moment's notice. And 3 of them are from Trials Rising.
Just remember time zones.
Yes. It's based on my time zone on True Achievements, which is Pacific. It doesn't move with me because obviously it doesn't know where I am.
But you just got to remember that whenever you're awake.
Yeah. So I have taken that into account. And when before I leave, I'm going to figure out the time zone difference. I'm going to set up a timer reminder on my phone to, at before midnight of Pacific time, like usually like I'll probably do like an hour or 2 ahead of that. I'll set a timer on my phone to remind me, hey, you have an hour or 2 left to get an achievement in order to not lose my streak. So I may not even have these because if I get to my dive, which I absolutely have to, because if I don't have all the new games I'm going to be playing before I go on my trip, I'll probably guarantee you I'm going to lose my streak. So most likely all the games, all these achievements I have queued up in a case of emergency, I'll knock those out before I do my dive. But made it through Trials Rising. It had to grow on me. My biggest issue with Trials Rising is the map. I like the layout of the levels in the previous games because there's like, it's almost like the early Mario games where you have like World 1, you have 8 tracks in World 1. You got World 2, and there's like 8 tracks in World 2. This one is like you have the map of the entire world, and there's just events scattered across the map. And sometimes there's like 4 or 5 that are within like a couple pixels of each other because they're all crammed together. And it's really difficult to get to the one I want. So that was my biggest issue with it. Other than that, like all the other Trials games, I really enjoyed it. It had some really interesting tracks. I still think I like.
Just love when you have UI issues like that.
Yeah. Overall, I still like Trials Fusion better. But other than the map issue, Trials Rising really grew on me because I don't understand why Trials Rising has like when it comes to the site rating by the users. I ranted to BD Jake on Open Mic a while back about this before I had actually gotten into playing it, because Trials Rising is littered with microtransactions. You don't need to do any of them because they are all cosmetic based, and you do unlock a lot of it just through natural play. But if you want to spend real money on the microtransactions, you can, but it's not at all required in the slightest. But it is riddled with microtransactions.
Sounds like DMC5.
And it has the highest user rating out of all the Trials games.
Although DMC5 actually does add gameplay type microtransactions. But
okay.
luckily you can get the completion without them.
Okay. Sorry, it doesn't have the highest highest rating. The highest user rating is actually Trials Evolution, which was also a 360 title with a 4.3 site rating. But Trials Rising is in second with a is in second with a 4.15. Trials HD, the original, has a 4.08. Trials of the Blood Dragon, which I haven't started yet, but I will be playing that one once I get to my dive, has the lowest with a 3.08. But my favorite out of all of them, Trials Fusion, only has a 3.8. So it's the second lowest site rating, and it's my favorite one. And Trials Rising is the second highest, and I think it should have a lower one. But other than that, I did have a lot of fun playing the game. I love the Trials games. So
I will repeat what Nightmare says. Microtransactions are the worst, especially in single-player games.
Yes, absolutely. It says microtransactions are the worst. I will agree with you, especially when they affect, like if you need them to play the game. Fortunately, Trials Rising, they are not at all required in the slightest. You do also, there are ways to unlock the premium currency through playing the game naturally. So you can buy some of the premium currency stuff without spending any actual real money. The only money I've spent on this game is to buy the game itself. I've not spent a single cent on any microtransactions, and I was able to buy a decent number of the premium currency things. You can spend the premium currency on, but there's a lot of cosmetics. However, there are also a number of additional tracks you can unlock. And that's what I spent the premium currency on, because some of those track packs you can unlock with the currency make some of the achievements a lot easier. So that is what I spent my premium currency that I earned through gameplay on, was some of those extra track packs. And Direwolf saying that the Dragonborn DLC in Skyrim and the Necronomicon quest in the base game.
Yeah, from Mora.
Mora, yeah.
I think it's Moira, isn't it?
I think there's an I in there. Moira sounds correct. But it's been a long time since I played either of those games, so I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was Moira.
I mean, I've played through it like 3 times.
Oh, because of all the different stacks?
No, I think I played through it 4 times, actually. Because I know I played through the 360 version, played through the Xbox One version, the original Steam version, and I think I played through the PS3 version. I still have 2 more. I still have 2 more stacks.
I've done the 360 version, and I've started the Xbox One version, but that's another one I still have a lot of time to put into, because I've not done a whole lot.
Although to be perfectly honest, though, I always just try and unlock the house in Whiterun, and then I try and break the game to give myself so much carry weight. I don't have to worry about what I pick up.
Oh, I haven't done that, but I
give myself like 200,000 carry weight, so I can carry everything off of every enemy.
That's nice.
So then I never have to worry about money, because I can just go into any shop and just sell everything I have that I don't want.
That's great. Despite not having put a whole lot of time into the Xbox One version, I do already have a 30 of the achievements. I have 25 out of the 75 achievements, but the rest of those 50 are, it's going to take a while. But I will get to it eventually. I just don't know when. So the next game I play. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Botany Manor, this one and another one. So if you count Botany Manor as 2 games, I did 2 stacks, that would count as 4. But if you count them as 1, then I played 3 Panic Play games, because I did Panic Play another game at the end of the month called The Rewinder, because that was leaving Game Pass as well, and it had a short, like 5 to 6 hour completion time. It's a pixel art point and click, and it was very odd, I'll say. You play as like this character that has the ability to rewind time and influence the actions of people and watch them play out and see how it affects things and, change the timeline, essentially. So you don't actually change the timeline yourself. You just affect the, because you basically, it's almost like influencing, because they don't know you're there. You basically kind of read their mind, and you can influence what decision they make. And then you basically watch what they do, and that will affect what actually happens. So I skipped through a lot of the dialogue because I wasn't terribly invested in the game. I don't really know exactly what was going on other than the base premise of the game. I was following a video guide just kind of telling me, go here, go here. So I panic played it basically got to completion in about 5 hours or so. unless you really love point and click games, I wouldn't recommend it. It has now left Game Pass, but it was a quick completion. So I was like, why the heck not? I'll basically play anything on Game Pass that's leaving Game Pass if it's probably under 10 hours, regardless how bad it is. I'll probably play it. If it's over 10 hours, then I'll be more iffy on it. So Direwolf says, so you're Aaron Yeager. I have no idea who that is.
Attack on Titan.
Oh, Attack on Titan. Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen it, so I don't know. Are they able to rewind time or influence people's decisions?
That is a weird mechanic, and it's actually kind of a spoiler. So
okay,
if you ever want to watch it, you don't want to know that one because it actually it'll actually change how you watch it a second time.
Okay, I very well may watch Attack on Titan at some point. So thank you for not spoiling it. But yeah, I don't know who that is, so I can't say. But yeah, you look like a normal person, but you also interact with a bunch of I forgot to mention it's all in like Japan, like ancient Japan, and so a lot of the characters that you interact with in your spirit world essentially are like Shinigami. So you had all these weird looking characters, and so little point and click, burned through it real quick. It wasn't great, but maybe the story is better than I thought it was. So, and then the last thing that I have to really talk about tonight is another game I panic played, and I just beat that day before yesterday. Another panic play that was leaving Game Pass, and it is a Metroidvania. So absolutely, that was number one priority because any Metroidvania on Xbox, I will play. And if it's on Game Pass, I haven't played it yet, I absolutely will play it before it leaves Game Pass. And that was the last case of Benedict Fox. So this is a 2D Metroid, platformer Metroidvania. And it takes place in probably I'd say between World War I and II, like in the 1920s or 1930s. I'm not exactly sure, but in that area, it's like Victorian era sort of thing. Although I think it takes place in New York, not in Great Britain. But the opening scene is a war. You know what? I think it takes place after World War II because I'm pretty sure the planes that I saw in the opening scene were like World War II planes. So it probably takes place in like the 1940s would be my guess. It's very stylized, and it's an Eldritch Horror Cthulhu type game. Cthulhu's not in it, but it's Eldritch Horror in that your character, Benedict Fox, who is a private investigator, who's investigating the deaths of a few people in this mansion. And kind of the gimmick is that you have this essence that lives in you, like this demon essentially. He's basically personified by a purple cloud with eyes and a very deep, disturbing voice. Kind of lives within you, and you communicate back between each other, but no one else knows it's in there, except there is this one character that gets introduced in the game, and she has a connection to the occult, so she sees and recognizes the essence living inside you, and she helps you. And she's the tattooist, and that's actually your upgrades in the game. Is you collect ink by defeating enemies in the game, and you use the ink as ink for your tattoos. These are magical tattoos that give you new abilities. So I had an interesting concept. However, you can really screw yourself over, but I'll get to that in a moment. The essence that lives inside you, what did he call him in the game? I forget what he doesn't have a name, but there was a term that they used, like the companion. That's what they called him in the game, is the companion. That's the demon essentially that shares your body. The bodies that you're there to investigate their murder, because the actual like real world game is just this small little, not small, but it's like a nice house, and it's got like a garden, so it's very, very small. The majority of the game takes place in each of these dead bodies. You can basically, with the ability of your companion, you kind of go into their memories and try to find what you're looking for when it comes to information. And each of these bodies that you not go into physically, but almost like you go into their mind, even though they're dead, and you can like and that's where all of the platforming and stuff takes place, is inside. So there's basically 3 distinct areas, because there's the 3 bodies, and each one has a different area, and you're trying to get to the end to discover some information that you need in order to solve the case. And so when you're in the real world, you don't have your double jump. You only have it when you're in the, I don't know, there was no term for it, but
Dream world.
In the dream world, perfect. That's the perfect term for it. So when you're in the dream world, that's where you have all your abilities. So one of the achievements is for fully upgrading your character, which is buying all of those tattoos, and they range, the better ones. Well, the first 4 or 5, you don't have a choice. You have to pick this one to unlock the next one, to unlock the next one. Once you get about halfway through, then it unlocks the entire second half, and you can buy any one you want. You just need the ink currency for it. There's also a separate currency called bits and pieces, and that's for buying stuff from the shop, which is another guy that's in the house. So there's 2 separate currencies. The bits and pieces you automatically get. You can't really miss them. The ink, however, the achievement for getting all the upgrades is missable, because the way the ink currency works is really, really dumb. You can soft lock yourself into not being able to even beat the story of the game. So the way they designed this is really dumb. And I didn't exactly follow the walkthrough 1-to-1, but I kind of glanced through it before I started playing it to kind of get an idea. Because anytime I'm going to play a game, I'm like, all right, let me look at the missable achievements and kind of get an idea of what those entail. And so I looked at the walkthrough, and it kind of went over that. So I was like, all right, because the game doesn't explain the ink system to you at all, and the walkthrough didn't do a great job of describing it in detail either. So I kind of had to figure it out myself. So I had played probably about 3 or 4 hours of the game. And because how it works is you pick up ink the first time you defeat an enemy. It's not like it actually drops something. You defeat the enemy and it automatically goes into your inventory. You see the counter up in the top right. But only the first time you beat them. If you come back, they won't drop any ink. And because you in the dream world, you unlock what are called anchor points, which are basically fast travel points, and you can teleport to any of them at any given time. All you got to do is pull up your map and say, I want to go to this anchor point. However, how it works is when you get that ink from all the enemies you've defeated, you have to physically go to an anchor point to essentially bank your ink points. If you kill a bunch of enemies and collect their ink, and you go to your map and fast travel, it'll pop up saying, hey, you have uncollected ink. Are you sure you want to do this? It's like, oh, because like I said, it didn't describe any of this and explain it in detail. I was like, yeah, sure, that's fine. I'll go back and I'll get it later. So I'd put 3 or 4 hours into the game, and I was like, I'll go back and get it later. And then I was like, I can't buy these tattoos because I don't have enough money. And then it kind of dawned on me. I'm like, crap, I basically screwed myself, because once you get that ink, you have to go to one of those anchor points and it'll bank it. Then you can teleport without worry about losing it. But if you teleport before you bank it by physically going to an anchor point, you lose all that ink. But the enemies that you got it from don't respawn their ink. Oof. So you're screwed. You literally you're soft locked. You can't do anything if you don't have the abilities you need, because I needed double jump in order to get where I needed to go, and I didn't have enough money to buy it. So I started the game over again once I figured this out. I was able to catch up to where I was in about an hour, since I knew what I was doing now, but the game did a terrible job of describing how this ink system works, because you can soft lock yourself, and the walkthrough, it might have been because I just skimmed through it. I didn't read it line for line. It may have gone into that in detail. I don't know, but I didn't get that from skimming through the walkthrough either. So that's the biggest thing going into it, because there is more ink in the game than you need to buy all the tattoos. I think at the end of the game, I probably still had 200 or 300 ink left over, because they range. Each tattoo ranges from from 50 ink to I think the most expensive one was 300 ink. Mm-hmm. But there's not a whole lot of leftover. So if you miss any and you don't bank it and you teleport, you may not be able to buy all of the tattoos, and you'll have to do the playthrough of the whole game over again. So
That'd be like in Dark Souls. If you get when every time you get souls, you can only get it once per enemy, and then if you don't actually get it if you don't bank it at a bonfire.
exactly. So
And then if you use a teleport, you would lose the souls you got between bonfires.
perfect analogy, yeah. So
Although you wouldn't be soft locked out of Dark Souls. You could eventually beat it. There are people who have beaten it without leveling up.
that's true, because there's no ability gating. This game has ability gating, and you need to buy these upgrades in order to proceed. So if you don't have enough money, you can't proceed. You're screwed. You're locked out. So bad design choice, and they didn't describe it very well. So after I'd gotten a few hours in, I'm like, now that I understand this, I'm just going to start the game over to make sure, because I had no idea how much ink I actually lost from teleporting without actually banking. Because, like I said, I didn't understand. It's like, oh, you have uncollected ink. Are you sure you want to teleport? It's like, yeah, sure. I'll go back and do it later. No, you can't do that. So I have no idea how much ink I lost. But I was like, it's early enough in the game. I'm just going to start it over. And I'm really glad I made that decision. Second time, now that I understood that, playing through the rest of the game was a lot easier. The other thing that I will give it is that it has a lot of assist options to make the game easier, because there are some very convoluted puzzles in the game. There's the puzzles are a strong element of this game, and some of them are very complex. So there's a couple of different assist settings for the map, and I was like, that's one of my biggest things. I hate just not having any idea where I'm supposed to go. It's like, you don't have to tell me how to get there, but at least put a point on the map saying this is where you need to get in order to proceed with the story. That's one of my biggest gripes with Hollow Knight, is that there's nothing telling you where you're supposed to go. That's one of the things that I do really love about Ori, is there's always a point on the map. Even if you haven't discovered that area, there's a point on the map, like, you need to get here. I'm fine with that. I'll figure out how to get there, but just not having anything on the map annoys the crap out of me. And that's how the game is by default. But there's an assist setting called I Hate Feeling Lost, that'll always have a point on the map telling you where to go. There's an assist setting that makes combat easier, and there's an assist. There was a third assist setting. I forgot what it was. But yeah, there was a couple assist settings in the game that make it a lot easier. So I did end up getting the completion, got all the achievements before it left Game Pass, finished it on the let's see here. My last win was on the 27th. So a couple days before the end of the month. So I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. So it wasn't bad. Could have used a few tweaks. Mainly the ink system. If that was the main thing, is they should have explained that a lot better.
Definitely.
A lot of people were really, when it came out, because I didn't realize it already came out 2 years ago. It came out in April of 2023. I remember when it launched, before it came out, a lot of people were like super looking forward to it. And then a lot of people were very disappointed by it when they ended up playing it. Obviously, I played it a couple years later. They did make some tweaks to it. What those were, I'm not exactly sure, but I do know that they did tweak it since it originally came out. So I probably had a better experience. I wasn't as disappointed by it as I was expecting to be. So it actually exceeded my expectations. It was decent. When it comes to not like a game mechanic, the thing that was the worst about it was the performance. Even on my Series X was not good. It was often dropping into sub 30 frame rate, and it was super choppy. However, I discovered it's because of quick resume. So I stopped putting in quick resume, and I just launched it fresh every time. And those issues, for the most part, went away. It still didn't run perfectly smooth, but it ran a lot better. So if anyone plays it on an Xbox, skip quick resume on. Quick resume works on it. You can pick up exactly where you left off. But if you're using quick resume, it's going to run like crap. That's my main technical issue.
I kind of stay away from quick resume because it seems to break things.
For the most part, I love quick resume. It's one of the main things I was looking forward to in this generation. There are a few games here and there where it has issues with, but for the most part, I rarely have issues with it. And I absolutely love quick resume, and I will use it any chance I get, because I often have 3 or 4 games in quick resume at one time. The main issue I have with quick resume is for games that have like a constant online connection, like Destiny or like Trials, because it constantly has to log into the Ubisoft servers for like
Warframe is also that same way.
Warframe is another perfect example.
And I think maybe the reason why I don't really care that much about quick resume is because I always play one single player and Warframe. Those are the only two games I tend to switch back and forth because I kind of hone in on one game at a time.
Yeah. If you're only playing one game at a time, that totally makes sense. I usually like focus on one game at a time, but I may have a couple other games that like I'll get back to, or I've got something in my quick resume that's something quick. Like I had Trials Fusion in my quick resume for freaking ever, but after like it being quick resume for 2 weeks, the game would like it wouldn't crash, but you can't play it, so I'd have to close it and relaunch it. But that was a couple of weeks, so it wasn't that bad. But there are occasionally games that have some issues with quick resume. This is definitely one of them. The performance is awful, but once I stopped using quick resume for it, it played much smoother. So those are my two big issues: is the ink system and the performance when using quick resume. But other than that, I enjoyed it more than I was expecting based on how much negativity I heard around it from the people who I talked to who had played it. But D8R says it's dumb to have perma-missables and purchasable abilities needed to progress the game. Exactly. It should not. If you have something that's like integral and to the main progress of the game, that should not be something that requires something that can be lost. You should not be able to lose your currency or whatever that is required to beat the game. So yeah, very terrible design decision. But as long as you know that going into it, it's not that big of an issue. But if you don't know that going into it, you might have a bad time.
Sounds about right.
So that about does it for me. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? Because I got one more thing I want to talk to you specifically about.
Not that I can think of, because it's just mainly just me continuing working on the same two games, hoping to finally move over. But I do have 1 week that I'll be out for because I'll be visiting my family for a wedding.
Oh, okay. Oh, actually, I forgot one more thing. Is the game that I'm currently playing. I started it. Let's see when I got back into it. And you'll be surprised.
I might start another Pokemon game while I'm down there, though.
Nice, good thing to play on the go. So this game has a total of 27 achievements. I have 23 of them. I will likely finish it tonight because I'm very close to the end of the game. But let's see here.
I'm not finishing anything else tonight because after this, I'm going to bed.
Okay. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I had 8 of the achievements before this year. I got 1, 2, 3 in January, and then I picked it up again on the 12th. And because of the games that I was panic playing, I put it on hold. But it's the game I'm playing right now. Almost done with it, and you'll be surprised. It's actually a turn-based RPG, and it's not developed. Oh, it is developed and published by Ubisoft. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
Is it South Park?
No, that was Obsidian.
Oh,
but that was
published.
You're right. That was published by Ubisoft. This one is published and developed by Ubisoft. That one was published by Ubisoft, but developed by Obsidian. So I know, shocker. I'm playing a turn-based RPG. It's because I got it for free with Games with Gold like forever ago, and I started it. And it's a pretty short completion, 12 to 15 hours. Child of Light. Have you heard of this game?
I've heard of it, and I looked into it and saw there was missable. There's unobtainables now. So.
There's one unobtainable achievement because
I never started
it. I started it before that achievement was discontinued. But there was no. If I would known that they were going to turn the servers off that you need because you have to send an item to a friend on your friends list, and it requires the Ubisoft servers for this game, they shut those down without a word. If I had known they were going to shut them down, I would have done that. But they didn't. They just shut it off with no warning, which they've done. Ubisoft has done that on a number of other games.
At least EA usually gives you at least a couple weeks of notice.
Yeah, EA usually they give months of notice, but Ubisoft, they'll just turn stuff off on a whim. It's really, really dumb. But anyways, yeah, I'm currently, that's the game I'm like focusing on right now is Child of Light. I'm almost at the end of the game. So there are 4 achievements left. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to get one because it's discontinued. The remaining 3 achievements I will likely get tonight, and then I will be done with the game because I'll have all of the achievable achievements. But yeah, it's very pretty. It's a 2D, like hand-drawn art. My biggest issue with it is there's probably like 8 or 9 different party members, but in combat, you only have 2 party members at a time. And you're often fighting 3 enemies. It really should have 3 party members. I'm playing on casual. There's casual and there's hard mode difficulty for the combat. And fortunately, I've only died once, and it was on a boss fight. But even on casual, some of these boss, not necessarily the bosses, but some of the combat encounters are pretty difficult. Given I'm not a turn-based RPG person, so maybe they're easier for someone who's more familiar with this genre of game. But I just feel royally screwed over in some of these fights when I have 2 people and I'm fighting 3. I should have a third party member, but no, that's 2 people, and that's really dumb. But I'm at the very end of the game. I've got.
Wouldn't it be funny if it actually turns out you were missing a setting and you could have had 3 the entire time?
I thought that might be the case, so I Googled it last night. I'm like, can I add a third party member? And they're like, no, it's 2 party members only. I'm like, dang it. And that's another thing is there's a lot of stuff similar to Benedict Fox, but not quite so integral. Is there's a couple of systems in the game that it doesn't explain to you like barely at all, or it might have been explained to me when I first started the game years ago and I totally forgot about it. But you get a bunch of items and you can combine them to make better items. And each character has 3 item slots, like an attack, a defense, and like a passive. And depending on which slot you put it in will determine what effect it has. So if you put it in an attack slot, it might give you plus 5% water damage because a lot of the attacks are based on elements. But if you put it in the armor slot, it might give you plus 5 defense against water damage. And then if you put it in the passive slot, it might give you 5% speed bonus. It does have a unique combat mechanic in that it's not specifically, it is turn-based, but it's not like this person is turn 1, this person's turn 2, this person's turn 3. You don't know exactly whose turn it's going to be because there's a bar at the bottom and each character appears on the bar and they move at different speeds based on their speed stat. And so there's a long white part of the bar that's called wait, and there's a short part at the right-hand side of the bar called cast. And so each action you take has a cast time, whether it's just like a regular slash or whether it's some sort of magic attack. And the more powerful the attack, the longer the cast time. And each attack, well, some attacks don't have any, don't consume any magic points. Just a regular slash doesn't consume any magic points. But if a stronger attack that attacks like all 3 of the enemies rather than just one, it's going to take a longer cast time than one that's like there's instant, short, medium, long, and very long. So a strong slash might be a medium, but a slash all attack might be a very long cast time. And so when your character gets to where that red section is, then you get to pick what action they take. But that action doesn't get fulfilled until your character reaches the end of the cast bar. And so you're all moving at different speeds, so you don't know exactly who's going to make it there first. It's kind of a guess. So if the other characters are at the left side of the bar, then it's like, oh, I probably have enough time to do a long cast and do more damage. But if it's that, if they're all really close together, you might want to use your defense ability. So in case you get hit, you take less damage. Because if you do some sort of action, like an attack, whether it's a magic attack or just like a standard attack, if someone else hits you after you select that action, and you haven't reached the end of the bar and done your cast, if they hit you, it'll interrupt you and you'll start your bar over again and you won't be able to attack because you basically missed your time. You got to wait till you get back to the cast. So you can get really thrown out of your attacks. So it does have an interesting mechanic on how it plays. It just sucks that you only have 2 people and you're often fighting 3 enemies.
Yeah.
But like I said, there are like 9. I think there's a total of 9 party members, and you can pick any 2 of them, and you can switch them out on the fly. It's instant but it's only in combat. Because I was like, how do I switch my characters when I'm running around? You can only do it in combat. There's one of your menu options is party, and once you get to the cast menu and you have the opportunity to make your action. You can choose to switch to a party member, but they start out right where you were. So it's not like you lose a turn. Then you can have them do an action. And depending on whether they get to the end of the bar before, someone else does, that will determine whether they actually get to carry it out. And like I said, some take longer to cast than others. And there's all sorts of things that go into a play. Like you can debuff your enemies and you can slow them so they move along the bar slower. They can buff themselves, or you could buff your party members with certain abilities that increase your speed. There's paralyze, there's fire attacks and water attacks and electric attacks that can do different status effects. So it's got all that stuff in it. There was one. What else was I going to mention? Is that all the only actions that actually have an instant? So like when it's your cast time, you don't have to wait. Is the defense ability, like I said. So, because sometimes you may want to go for an attack, you get to attack first, but then if that enemy hits you, obviously you already got your attack off, so you did your damage, but you're more vulnerable. So if you see a bunch of people on the bar ahead of you, you may want to do the defense ability, which is instant. So you don't have to worry about getting to the end of the bar, so that if they attack you, you take a lot less damage.
Makes sense.
And the other thing about that is I just had it in my mind twice while I was talking about that. The instant, the cast times. You have tons of potions. Those will also take an action. So if they're usually short, so they'll go along the bar a lot faster, but you can get knocked out of it, interrupted by someone, and then you lose your potion. You got to wait till your next turn. So, yeah, I'm really close to the end. I will probably beat it tonight before I go to bed.
Don't get hit while you're drinking an Estus flask.
There was something else I was going to mention about the game with the cast times. Now I don't remember what it was. Blast. But yeah, so of the 3 achievements I have left, there like I said, there are 4, but 1 is unattainable, so I can't get that one. But of the 3 I have left that are obtainable, 2 are story for beating the penultimate boss and the final boss, and then 1 is for collecting. There's these little sheets of paper scattered around the world called confessions, and I got to collect all of those. So once I beat the game, I'll go follow a guide, and because there is you can fast travel around the map. You just go to your map and be like, I want to go here. So I'll follow a guide to pick up any of the ones that I missed. So that shouldn't take too long. So I'm almost done with that. And then once I finish that one, the next game I'm probably going to knock out is similar, where I started a long time ago. I've played it in bits and pieces, and I'm going to focus on it. And that one I should be able to get all the achievements in, and before I move on to another game, and that's Layers of Fear. I think I mentioned that last month, but I haven't actually played it. I haven't even launched it in the interim. But that should be the next one that I probably get to outside of continuing Hollow Knight, because both this one and Layers of Fear are relatively short games.
I think one turn-based RPG you might enjoy is the Mario and Luigi series.
Oh, the one that Brothership is in?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
I started on GBA for called Superstar Saga.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't even know that franchise existed. I know about the Super Mario RPG and Paper Mario, but this other Mario and Luigi ones, I didn't even know those existed until Brothership was announced.
And looks like all 4 of them that are available on that could be available on RetroAchievements are available on RetroAchievements.
Oh,
they all have achievements. The only ones that don't have achievements are the 3DS ones, really, right now, and that's because they don't have 3DS support yet.
Yeah, 3DS doesn't have.
They just created the pages for them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Overall, for the most part, I'm enjoying the game. It's just it was really annoying that one boss fight that I lost, because I was playing it for like 20 minutes. It was like this guy kept freaking reviving because normally I would go for the minions and then the boss, but he kept reviving and I'm like, screw it, I just have to go for the boss and ignore the minions and then kill them after I beat the boss. So the first time I did that boss fight,
Here's the thing.
I ended up losing, and it was a waste of 20 minutes. And the second time I was able to beat him because I took a different approach.
Here's the thing, though. Would you revive each one individually, or would you wait until would you wait until you kill a certain amount of his ads before you start reviving?
So like I'd kill one, and then a few turns later, he revived it. And after I killed the first one, I went to the second one, but by the time I killed the second one, he had already revived the first one. So I was like, I'm just gonna keep going back and forth because you don't get to see their stats. That's one of the things that is annoying, is that you obviously you see your character's health. You see how much damage you're doing to the enemies that you're fighting. You have no idea how big their health pool is.
That's actually pretty common on most JRPGs.
I hated that because I'm like, when the heck are you ever going to die? It's like, how much damage do I have to do to you? Because I have no idea. Are you close to death? Are you miles away? I have no idea. And then the other thing is,
in a lot of games, you have to waste a turn to actually see how much health they have left.
There is no possible way in this game to see the enemy's health. There's not even
that's where the scan magic is from in Final Fantasy.
Okay. The other thing that was annoying is that when you have things that like buff your teammates or debuff your enemies, like you can, when you cast it, it says this lasts for 3 or 4 or 5 turns or whatever, but there's no counter, so you can't keep track of what turn you're on. You have no idea. It's like, and it's like one of the characters I've been using is a tank. Has a huge health pool. So I use taunt with him so that he draws all the aggro, so the other character can focus on hitting the other enemies without having to worry about getting interrupted. But I don't know when taunt is going to run out because it doesn't tell you. So all of a sudden my other character is getting attacked because the taunt ran out. So it'd be nice if there was a counter saying, hey, this is how many turns you have left. Because if I knew it was at 0, instead of doing an attack, I would use taunt again. But I don't know, because he still
maybe there's an effect on his sprite.
There is an effect on the sprite, but it doesn't go away until your next turn after it expires. So it should, and like the effect should disappear on the turn that it basically becomes inactive. So I know, oh, I need to cast taunt again, but I don't know it until I do another action and then it disappears. So that could have used some tweaking.
Or you could just count it yourself.
It's difficult to keep track of what turn it is because everybody's moving at a different speed on the bar.
Well, then you all have to pay attention to your own timers.
So
usually.
Well, because the same thing goes for debuffs on the enemies. It'll say it lasts for 4 turns, but unless I'm keeping track of all of their turns as well, I don't know how many turns that is. So that's probably my biggest gripe with the game when it comes to it, like a technical thing, is I should be able to see how many turns I have left on each of the status effects. But yeah, that one boss, he just kept reviving him. I'm like, how the heck are you ever supposed to beat him? And then it's like, all right, the second time I'm just going to focus on him and then kill his minions. And that all the bosses I fought since him have done the exact same thing. So I just follow that same strategy and it's worked out. But yeah,
makes sense.
It's a pretty short game. So for a turn-based RPG, it's not too bad. So, Nightmare says, I've also recommended the Mario and Luigi games to Neo because of the action commands. So,
well, hey, with retro achievements, you can get achievements while you're playing it too.
Yeah,
so
that definitely does more so entice me. I have so many other retro achievement games that I actually want to play. I don't know if I'll ever get to those, but I'll keep that in the back.
Here's the thing, though; they are actually really the 2 that I played are really fun. I played Superstar Saga and Partners in Time, which are the first 2. I've heard that the next one, Bowser's Inside Story, is really good.
Okay,
which is the 3rd one.
Shoot, all this time there was something else I wanted to mention on the cast times, but I can't remember what it was.
You'll remember it before you go to bed tonight.
Not what I was going to say, but one thing that's really nice, there's actually an achievement for it, is when you get the timing right, because like I said, they're all moving at different speeds, so you can't exactly predict it. You can just kind of guess, is when all 3 of the enemies get into they choose, you don't see what their actions they're going to take, so you don't know what they're going to do, but they get past that bar where you select your action, so they're now in that cast range. and then you do an attack that hits all 3 of them and interrupts all 3 of them at once, is really great. There's actually an achievement for doing that as well. I just remembered what it was. That's what I was going to say earlier, is you will only get interrupted if you actually get hit while you're in that cast range. So each of your characters has a percentage to dodge. It's a stat. So the higher percentage, the higher their stat is, they could evade it. It's all based on dice rolls, so you have no control over it. But if you select an action and then your character dodges, then you'll still be able to do whatever action you picked, unless another enemy attacks, and then you get hit by that one before you get to the end of your bar. But it's nice when you pick an action and you think you're going to get there first, and then someone else gets there first and they attack you. It's like, shoot, I'm going to get interrupted. And then your character dodges it. I'm like, yes, now I get to pull off my action regardless. That's what I was going to say. So, all right.
Yeah, evasion is a pretty common stat.
It's very low, but you can increase it. Like most of them are around like 5%, and that's pretty high. Most of them are like 1 to 2%, but you can increase that with a couple of consumables. One other thing to mention is that from what I hear, it does have New Game Plus. And so each character, there's when it comes to the skill tree, is basically there's 3 different branches. They're all linear, so you can't be like, I want this one and this one and this one from this tree. You have to build to it in order to get to it, but you can put points into any of the trees and use those skills to mix and match. But if you play through it enough, you can max out all 3 skill trees for all characters in your party. That's definitely not going to happen in a single playthrough, but I can imagine that your characters are going to be like super broken. Well, if you could have 3 people in your party, it would be super broken if you got them all maxed out. But it's nice when once you start building out some of those skills and you have abilities that can hit all 3 of the enemies you're fighting at one time. That makes a huge difference.
Definitely.
So, but yeah, that is Child of Light, and I will likely be finishing that tonight. So, all right. Well, with that, the thing that I wanted to talk to you about, and I didn't mention it, you had brought it up right before we went live, but I didn't say, I was like, oh, you just reminded me of something I want to talk to you about once we're on stream. And you mentioned it once we're on stream, and I was like, yes, that was it. Is just today or yesterday, we got an announcement that Dolphin Emulator is now available on Xbox. I'm assuming that means it's in the dev mode.
Yes.
Because I know you can already do RetroArch on Series X in the dev mode.
It's in dev mode.
Which I believe you've done?
I've done on RetroArch, but I haven't done in Dolphin.
Okay. So I was like, sweet, that's awesome. If I'm able to get that set up, that's another thing that I would need to figure out, this whole cloud save thing. And that's going to make it way more complicated, because how am I going to cloud save with an Xbox? Like PC, that's easy. Android, easy, not much easier than Xbox, but not as easy on PC. So, but if I can get all my RetroArch and Dolphin games running on my Xbox, so I play them both on my not both, but on my PC, on my Retroid Flip, or on my Xbox, that'd be awesome. So, how do you do the dev mode thing? Is it simple? Should I do it?
It's been so long since I did it, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure you can just look it up on Google.
Oh, darn. Well, I was hoping you could go into a little bit more detail on that.
Like I said, I think I've only done it the once.
Oh, like you did it once just to see if it worked, and then you haven't.
Well, I did it for one. I did it while playing one game on PS1, and that was literally a Spyro game, which I beat in like a couple of days.
You played a PlayStation game on an emulator on a Series X, I'm assuming.
That I could have played as a remastered version of it on the Series X.
On the Spyro Reignited trilogy. That's really funny. So, okay, well, bummer. I was hoping you could go in a little bit, because I was going to say, what does it take to get into dev mode? Should I do it? Because I would love to be able to get RetroArch and Dolphin on my Xbox. That'd be awesome. Because I will always take gaming on my couch in front of my TV over gaming at my desk in front of my PC. So, I guess you wouldn't really be able to tell me a whole lot about that then.
Nope.
So,
And since my PC is literally hooked up to my the same TV I use for Xbox, I never really pay attention that much.
Yeah, you don't really have that problem because your PC is hooked up to a TV. For most people, that's not the case. Because I prefer gaming from my couch. It's like I'm not going to get a whole.
Well, since I use my PC mostly for retro gaming, it's like, why not?
Yeah, it's like I'm not going to get a whole another PC to hook up to my TV. So that's why, and I'm an Xbox guy, so that makes.
Well, if you get another PC for mainly emulation, you don't have to get a strong one.
That's true. But yeah, that's not very high on the priority list, especially if I can run them on my Xbox, which I already have.
Yep. I know Modern Vintage Gamer says a Series S is a really good emulation machine, but now they're going up in price.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Got an announcement today. I think we mentioned that earlier, but yeah, got all the Xbox hardware is going up in price, which is retarded.
Yep. So. The only console. This is the only console generation that prices have gone up.
Yeah, I saw a meme today of a granny with a walker. It's like, back in my day, console prices went down throughout the generation, and the younger person's like, "All right, grandma, let's get you to your retirement home." It's like
they got smaller and less expensive.
Yeah. Your slim versions that were cheaper than the original launch version. It's like, what is going on?
Stupidity. That's what's going on.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I feel like there was something else I was going to ask you about RetroArch or just emulating in general, but I don't remember what it was. So that's all right. So anyways, before we say goodnight here, what do you got going on? Anything you want to plug?
Just Saturday and Monday, continuing the pain that is Ninja Gaiden Sigma. And I have changed out Kick for PoopTube.
That's right. You were streaming on YouTube yesterday. I was like, that made me happy because YouTube's just got the best interface. I like Rumble as a company far better, but their interface
just they're ran by a couple of morons.
Yes, but yeah, the YouTube interface is better than all the other ones in my opinion. So, link to Dude's Rumble channel. I'll add your YouTube channels now that you've got those to the stream description as well, in case anyone catches this after the fact. But the link to Dude's Rumble channel is in the stream description. So your next outing with Ninja Gaiden Sigma will be on Saturday.
Yep, and it sounds like we're going to be playing Halo 5 on Sunday.
Well, probably. I don't think it's been confirmed yet, but it's likely that we'll be doing Halo 5 with the company boys on Sunday.
I know morning. Seth said he's fine with staying out for a week to let us continue that run.
Okay. Yeah,
because
I don't know if Paul or Bliss have said what they've said.
But that's what they said on a live stream. So.
Oh, okay. So it's looking very likely that we'll do Halo 5 on Sunday. So it's just
hopefully we can finish it in one stream because
hopefully.
We don't want to continue that for too long.
Yeah, especially my summer schedule is going to be weird, so I have no idea when we'll be able to get to the next. If we don't, either way, if we beat it or we don't beat it, the next Halo one, I have no idea when that's going to be. It very well could be in August. I don't know.
Come on, I want to get these co-op achievements done in Infinite. That's the whole point.
Yeah. So, but all right,
part of the point.
Yeah. So go check out Dude Ninja Gaiden Suffering on his channel on Saturday night. And then we'll be on the because we'll see. I don't know. If we do Halo on Sunday, I don't plan to stream it, but I could be convinced to change my mind. I don't know. But it'll absolutely, if we do play, it will absolutely be on the Company Boys channel and maybe Dude's channel as well.
Yep.
So as for next week, I'll be having Metroidvania Monday as usual. I should be finishing off Metroid Prime Remastered since that one's a pretty quick one. And then Tuesday's the next episode of Top 5. We are ranking our top 5 franchises that need to be revived. And joining us will be Nightmare, who's in chat, Lowest Expectations, and Carl will be joining us. So this is probably the most strict top 5 we've done in that there are a number of rules for this one on what does and does not qualify. There are some gray areas. But it's
What are the rules?
So the rules are it's got to be a franchise that hasn't had a release in about 10 years, give or take a little bit. So it's not like exactly 10 years. If it's 9 years, that'll probably be okay. If it's 8 years, we'll see. Spin-offs, if they have more than one game, count as a separate franchise. So that's kind of the biggest gray area. In that, like, the mainline franchise hasn't had a release in 15 years, but they did have a spinoff 5 years ago.
Like
That's
how near,
probably
like how
okay.
near is actually a spinoff
Of
Drakengard.
Oh, that's right. I don't know anything about Drakengard, but I have heard that is a that Nier is a spinoff of Drakengard. But franchise, obviously it's a franchise, so it needs to have more than one game in it. So it can't just be, a one-off game that you want to see a sequel to. It's got to be something that has at least 2 games. And it cannot have an announced game already in the works. And rumors don't count. If it's rumored, that's fine. But if they're, hey, we're working on this game, even if it doesn't have a release date, if they've said, hey, we're working on this game, that franchise would not count. So it's got to be something that does not have a game in the works.
So that, I guess that means Titanfall doesn't count.
Depends. When Titanfall 2 came out.
Well, if you didn't count the years. But then again, that was a long time ago, too.
Titanfall 2 is 2016. That's close enough to the 10-year mark.
But then again, you could also see Apex Legends being a spinoff of Titanfall.
Yeah. I would say that definitely would qualify because Apex is completely different in my book. That's where
it sounds like from from Respawn they say they're working on it, but we don't have any real details.
Yeah. If they say they're working on it, that's fine. Because it has had an official announcement like, hey, this game is coming. If they're just say, hey, we're working on a game.
Would Metroid count when we were still waiting for Metroid Prime 4?
If Metroid Prime 4 didn't have an official announcement just recently, it would absolutely count because it's on my list of games that I would put on this list, but doesn't qualify now. So yeah. So that will be Tuesday. We're ranking games, franchises that we want to see revived.
Actually, I think that counts Elder Scrolls because if you don't count the remake.
No, Oblivion Remake would not count because it's just a remaster of an existing one. Elder Scrolls would qualify in that Skyrim came out in 2011, although there was Elder Scrolls Online, but that would be a separate one, so that wouldn't count.
That's more of a spin-off because of
Elder Scrolls 6 has been officially announced.
We don't have a date, though.
We don't have a date.
We just have a title card.
Yeah. So, in my book, that one doesn't count.
Because we know it eventually come.
So, but yeah, it'll be fun. We're ranking franchises we want to see revived that don't have anything, to our knowledge, in the works already. Next Wednesday night, I will be over on Carl's channel, and we will be talking about the really fantastic co-op game that we both just played and is in the running for both of us for Game of the Year. It's the only I think it's the only game this year I've played that came out this year.
How much of a splitting headache did you have playing with him?
Not. But I see what you did there. So we played through Split Fiction and had a lot of fun. That was an awesome game. I'm pretty sure it's the only game released this year that I played. Carl plays a lot more newer stuff than I do, at least until I get to my dive. Then I'll be playing a lot more recent stuff. But it was awesome. Had a lot of fun with it. Although there are some really awesome games on the horizon that I'm looking forward to playing. So it's probably not going to stay there as Game of the Year, especially once Doom comes out.
Or Prime 4.
Or Metroid Prime 4, absolutely. But it was a great game. So I'm going to be over on Carl's channel on Wednesday night. We're going to be talking about Split Fiction and all the fun that we had. And then next Thursday will be another episode of Open Mic. We're having a returning guest who's been just about a year since he was on. And that is often seen in chat, but I didn't see him tonight. And that's Christian Frades. He's like, hey, I want to come back on. I want to come back on for another one. I'm like, all right, now's the time. So Christian Frades is coming on for another Open Mic. He's a bit all over the place. So it's going to be very interesting. I have no idea what's going to happen. It's probably not going to stay on video games for very long, but it'll be fun regardless. And then, so yeah, that'll be next week. So that'll be it for tonight. Thank you guys for hanging out with us as we talk about video games and achievements. So you guys all have a good night. Dude, as always, enjoy talking about achievement hunting with you. So everyone have a good night. We will see you later. And as always, in the meantime, game on.